Alright. Good luck, gentlemen.
Good luck, everyone.
Seat 2. Seat 2.
This tournament's recommenced. Stop, lock and deal.
Let's go.
Start the clock. We are.
Good luck, everyone. The game is on.
Guys, you wonder why APT got me as the commentator?
20 minutes of gameplay.
Because
Sorry.
it is because of how kindly the regs treat the whales.
Oh, no,
Guys, I'm joined by another
Alright, we're
superstar,
good to go.
Mr. Jackson Young, one of the absolute
Good luck,
up-and-comers in the
everyone,
Melbourne
and
scene. If you've
congratulations
played
on the
Cash
game.
anywhere,
Final
you've probably seen Jacko's
You're all
face.
legends of the
So,
game.
very young, talented poker player. Jackson, thank you very much,
Alright,
man,
seat 5 fold.
for joining us. It's always great to have you on.
Thanks for having me on. It's once again a pleasure, and what a star-studded
Mate,
FT.
unreal.
I'm very excited to see. I know a lot of these players quite well, and a lot of different varying play styles.
I'm
as
just looking at I've not played with a Mitt Jory, have you?
yeah. So we actually made
I'm not familiar, haven't played a huge amount in Melbourne,
Yeah, we-
so if you know a little bit about him, everyone else, you tell me about Amit.
Yeah. So Amit is I've played with him a few times. We actually made a very Crown main event together, and he actually won it for like 130,000.
Unreal.
So he plays quite solid, I think, from my memory. More on the tighter side, not too out of line, which is obviously a very solid strategy, of course. But yeah, he's looking to add to his resume here with with a pretty star-studded lineup, and obviously being the shortest or something like that. So got to find a double quite soon, but he's going to be having no pressure on him at the moment with being in
Won
big
the
spots.
first one. Can you win the last hand as well? Or?
Guys, while you have some
Correct.
superstars
That's
in
correct.
the commentary booth with me, please feel free to pepper Jackson with questions.
Your odds on that.
We have a special treat coming up for you after Jackson's best mate, Paris Tsoukas. He's going to join us after. An absolute star-studded roster. Like I said, how good for you that all of my mates are happy to support us and make the stream better. So,
Yeah, we just love it, and thank you for having us on. Obviously, Paris, a
mate,
close
it
friend
is
of mine.
our pleasure.
Yeah,
You
it's,
guys are both extremely eloquent and good guys too. So
So the thing with Paris and what I'm really excited for him to do is he's got probably a lot more of a deeper analysis on the game and stuff like that. As my friend Nelson Foxfast, shout out to Nelson, how you doing? So Paris is going to give a little bit of a different perspective, and he's got a coach as well that helps him, and he's had a lot of good results over the last year, adding to his resume as well. Hendon Mob is really creeping up there, so I'm quite excited for him to come in, but we'll get to the action here. So Amin opening up under the gun as once again Amin chip leading a big event, sort of. Seems to happen every time, doesn't it, Liam? It's quite crazy.
how often do we see this play?
And I think he was quite short not too long ago from what I saw.
It's never out though.
Yeah, he had like 650k when I saw the updates not too long ago, maybe 2 or 3 tables left, and now he's not the overwhelming chip leader or anything like that, but definitely in a great spot to take it on. Jim, second in chips, 45 bigs. I've played a little bit with Jim. He likes to go after it. He's not the typical OMC that a lot of people may look and see. He goes after us. Saw a nice little 3-bet with a King 9 suited earlier against Oscar, and he definitely knows his stuff, and he's been on a lot of FTs as well. So he's going to bring some experience. I believe he's from Sydney. I played a lot with him in Sydney specifically, so yeah, pretty keen for him. And what a lineup! Justin, Jerome, the Melbourne pros.
I don't know if any of you guys know how good Justin and Jerome are, but if you've been a Crown reg for years, you know you have had to battle them. Like, these guys are the elite.
Yeah.
Like, they don't play at Crown anymore because they're off internationally chasing bigger games. That's how good these boys are.
There was a time not too long ago where Justin and pretty much all of his friends were like 6 and 7 table, seeding the 5, 10, 20 at Crown, and it was sort of making it pointless to play because they're so good. But now, as you said, they're playing internationally and popping back. Obviously, when there's poker in Melbourne, it's great and something to do, and don't have to travel too far, which is always nice. As we see an interesting hand, Oscar binning the 9s on the button, which is a great fold. And this is sort of where we're seeing Jim use that creativity and three-betting a hand that usually might want to flat, but just with the ICM pressure that he can apply to Jerome, as we see him just snap fold the ace-queen off. Jim obviously knows what he's doing in these spots, and he's been here a lot, so well played from him early.
I've been complimenting Jim's play all day. As a recreational, he's very competitive, right?
Yeah.
For those around the Melbourne scene, you'll have played with Jim for years. His success in life comes from outside of poker, but that has given him all of the time to dedicate himself to becoming competitive, and he's certainly not out of his depths here. We saw an extremely gangster play from Jim. He 3-bet the small line with queens, and for all intents and purposes, a recreational player from under the gun one called. The flop was ace 3-4, 2 spades. Jim checks. The recreational under the gun open. C-bets. You know what Jim did with his queens? Check rizzle.
Check rizzle.
In your mouth, mate.
Wow.
A whole lot. It was the most gangster thing I've seen. You want to tell me that Jim doesn't have moves?
Yeah.
These boys do not.
He's creative, and I think sort of the boys are going to see that now that they've probably got some intel from a few of their friends. They're going to be looking to, take some spots against him and find those aggressive lines, because he is not just the typical older guy. He actually does have moves, and that's good.
Yeah.
That's more fun. You can actually have some playability and run some bluffs against him and some light call downs, which makes for a fun FT.
Yeah, so for those around the cash game scene in Melbourne, you'll definitely be familiar with Cam Lawless. He's featured heavily in his in our social media stuff this week. He's a great sport. Catherine and I, sometimes it's really hard to find someone to be in a video, because not everyone is cut from Catherine and I's cloth. So for anyone who's been a part of our videos, thank you so much. I cannot tell you how important it is for faces to be involved. Like, people get sick of seeing my face. They've seen it for 5 years. Let's see some new faces.
Yeah, Cam's a rowdy guy as well. He seems to
an
always
extremely good time.
Get in the mix, and no shame, man.
I haven't
Celebrating.
played cash with him yet, but I'm looking forward to the opportunity.
Yeah, he likes to play, and he likes to sort of gamble and that. So he's always fun to play with, and he actually took all my chips in this tournament. So I'm glad to see him on the FT. I would rather be there myself, but unfortunately that is not meant to be. And pretty keen on seeing him make a deep run. He's looking at a healthy stack of 34 bigs, and which is actually sitting in that, I think, 6th range. So yeah, he's going to look to sort of battle it out, and he's not going to be scared of these pros who are going to be playing very, very solid and aggressive.
I'm going to ask you a cash game question.
Go.
Tell me about the biggest spot you've ever played. I know you've played some gigantic games.
The biggest-
Don't tell me where, just
Okay.
tell me about the biggest spot. Tell me the stakes. Don't reveal the location.
Okay, sure. It was a 25-50 game that turned into 100, 200, 400, 800, 1600.
Guys, Jackson is in his 20s, and this is the size of the game he's
Well,
playing.
I didn't really want to play that big, but I was up a little bit of money at the time, and
He parlayed it as a true gambler does.
They sort of the guys that were down wanted to play bigger, which was fair enough, and I obliged. And
Sometimes as the
yeah.
pro, you've just got to do what they want to do, right? So
yeah, so actually this hand was the 400 on, so 100, 200, 400, five-handed, I believe. Cutoff opens 1,000. I make it 3K with 10s. He calls.
I remember seeing this story.
This is a doozy. It's actually not even like that big of it. It's a pretty simple hand. It just tended to be for a lot of money. Flop comes, I don't even remember now, it was something along the lines of, I'm going to say like 863 rainbow or something along that line. He checks, I bet like 4K, he calls. Turn is a offsuit 8, so complete rainbow, and he checks, and I think against a lot of players I would probably check this back. Just has a lot of 8s in range and stuff like that, and for a lot of money I didn't really want to just get it all in with one pair, but against this specific villain he liked to gamble, so I bet like I think 9K, he snap jams for 19K or something along those lines, and I snap call, and it sounds crazy, and I understand that it probably does sound like that, but
Anyway.
when you're in the zone, you're in the zone,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
that was a 50K pot, and he ended up having a gut shot and getting bricked, and we took that one down. So
Games in Macau, huh? Let's call it Macau.
let's say it was in Macau. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Travis Endersby joining us in the chat. You once stepped up to 2-5. Well, that was definitely the worst 2-5 game that ever got up in that venue then. Don't tell me porkies,
Where's
Trav?
Trav?
I don't know. Probably
Not
off
in
playing
Melbourne,
a
hey?
10k somewhere. Mr. Endersby, always a pleasure to have you joining the commentary stream.
So
My name, of course, Liam Murray, will be your host for the foreseeable future of the APT live streams. I have found my home at APT and I couldn't be happier.
thanks for the feedback.
Give it a
Riff.
rest, Riff.
Yeah, I'll get back to the action, mate. So
Whatever.
I'm in chip leading and doing what Amin does. So
Bloody Santa.
Amin's gonna open pretty much any two. I would assume if he's got the chip lead and he understands that he's opening into some middling stacks such as Justin, Amit, and Jerome. So
Anyway, Isaac, you're a weird fella. I don't care. Anyway, let's get back to the poker.
I mean, sure.
Guys, hang on. Give me 2 seconds.
Seat 9 call. Seat 9 check.
Guys, the opportunity has presented itself. I cannot pass it up. I'm going to have to step out of the booth. I'm going to have a break because one of my other very good friends, Mr. Nelson Dong from Up the Stakes, he's volunteered his time. This is what you get with the APT fields. Like when they bust the event, they're just standing around doing nothing. They're happy to come and have a chat. So I'm going to leave Jackson and Nelson to have a chat for about half an hour. Riff, be nice to them. Isaac, you too. But thank you to Nelson for donating us his time. You know what his hourly would be. It's crazy. Jackson's the same. So I will be back with you guys in about half up. I'll leave Jackson and Nelson in your capable hands. Please take this opportunity to ask some poker questions. So anyway, I'll leave it with you. Thank you, boys. See you in a half up.
Seat 9 call. Seat 9 checks.
We return back to the action. I'm with my good friend Nelson.
Let's go.
We'll introduce him properly in a second, but we just stumbled into a massive pot. So Nelson's just jumped in, so he can get a bit of a recap on the left there. So Amin's opened as the chip lead in the cutoff. Jerome's flatted 2/8, and as we can see, that Jerome slow played this all the way to the river. Amin's just gone bet, 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 while he's looking like he's going to triple barrel.
You just see that look, right?
Yeah, you know when he's going to just
Been on the
Persian
table,
jam.
if you've been on the table with Amin, you know that look.
So what are your thoughts here, Nelson? Like, obviously, he is obviously just piling it in because he's the chip leader and wants to put in pressure, but does have somewhat of an okay combo maybe to do it with.
I mean, it's one of those spots where you got 7 high, man.
Yeah. And how much has he got behind? So he's got like, the SPR's roughly like, oh my gosh,
He just jams and snaps.
Yeah. Okay, so this is the Amin Riazati experience. When he's got it, it's great. When he bluffs, it looks potentially a little bit silly, but at the end of the day, Amin knows exactly what he's doing. And if Jerome had a hand like say like Ace 5 or something like that, it's a different story. And Jerome's in a bit of a blender, so we do see Jerome take an overwhelming chip lead after that pot.
That's exactly right. When you're versing Amin,
Yeah.
it's easy when you have it, but when you don't, that's when he puts you in the tough spots.
Let's
and
say he even has Ace Jack.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we doing? Like he's 1.8x overbet in the river, and he's just going to try to find a call there. It's pretty gross. So When you have it, it's great. The flop
Definitely.
was okay. I guess the card reader was wrong, so it looks like it was 10-8-6. So he did actually have that straight blocker the whole way. But nonetheless, Jerome with the overwhelming chip lead as we see Amin take a bit of a hit and go into a bit of a middling stack situation. So he's a professional. He won't be too rattled by that. Obviously, just running at the top of range is what it is. But it's interesting. Did you play with any of these guys today, Nelson? And
So my main event journey today,
what are you laughing? Not too long.
I came in for a max late register, like a good boy at 1:30, right on time. Sat down. There was a bit of a delay for the getting all the last minute entries in. I think it started maybe like 1:50. I looked down at 3 hands. I folded, and the 4th hand I went all in and had pocket 3s against ace-9 lost, and then drove all the way back home. That was my main event journey.
That's a lot of max late registers, isn't it? Unfortunately, there is the situation like Justin, for example, one of your good friends.
Yeah,
he
he
sat on
also-
my table as a max late reg, took my chips, and now is parlayed that into an FT, looking to score 100 bands for first. So there are a lot of stories like Nelson's where you come in and drive home straight away, and then there's others where you jump in late, and here we are, like 9 left with 300 runners in a glorious main event. So excited to see if he can pull it off. One of the good guys in poker, so wouldn't hate to see him take the win. But what do you think his strategy is going to be moving forward? Obviously, a bit of a dynamic now where he's got 20 bigs and there's a couple of shorties, shorter than him. The guy to his second to his left has got the overwhelming chip lead. So
I mean, with Pocket Kings, you don't have much to think about. But no, you're definitely right. I'm not sure if you and Liam went over it, but just having a look at the chip stacks now, I mean, we do have a couple shorties, but it's actually relatively
deep. Yeah.
Yeah, it's deep, and also, I mean, aside from Jerome after that massive double, everyone's hovering around that like 30 to 40 to 50 bigs, right? And so plenty of play left.
Yeah, I think they're probably anticipating a bit of a late night. 8 left and it's 12:30. We're obviously on a little bit of a delay, but there's going to be a lot of action, and 30 to 40 bigs deep. There's going to be a lot of playability, and this one could go late, maybe 4 or 5 a.m. depending on how it goes. So let's see if Billy can hit an ace on this flop and steal one from Justin.
Yeah, with a7 off, not much to do but just call.
Just finds top set, this guy.
But he's not that clean.
Yeah, obviously, got to worry about some straights and that, but, are you ever continuing here as Billy to a small c-bet? I guess maybe you can pill one ahead of some bluffs and obviously got that gut shot, but a little bit dicey flop.
Okay, Justin will be continuing here, probably with his entire range. Like, this board is just so good for the pre-flop. Razor, especially when the big blind, it will be calling pretty wide, covering Justin. But here with top set, very, very nice to just go for a small bet.
Nice
Billy,
fold, yeah.
Billy actually just finds the fold.
He only did actually have one out, not that he would have known that, but there was 3 10s folded, so makes it a little bit easier for us to look at. But, nice fold from Billy. I mean, he can't really get super out of line. You don't want to just be calling these sort of gut shots and not, I guess, fake draws, I guess, is the wrong word. But there's really dicey spots because, you've got a pretty good position in the tournament right now. You're sitting at, I think, 3rd or 4th in chips at the moment, and there's a couple of shorties, and a couple of the pros are in that bit of ICM prison, I guess would be a word for it. So this is going to be interesting, and Jerome, a seasoned professional, is going to be licking his lips, I think, with that, I guess, gift, I guess you might say. I mean, obviously, Amin has his reasons, and everyone has their reasons for every hand they play, and as I said before, when it doesn't come off, it looks quite silly. But if, for example, you got him to fold a hand like, a 4 or like ace queen or something like that, he looks like a genius, right? So there's a very fine line, as I like to say, between a genius and a blaster. So we'll like to see Amin sort of take a little bit of a breather and compose himself, because I'm sure that it won't take too long for him to get back in the
I was
mix.
just going to say that we all know Min is not afraid to back down.
So what are you doing here as Jerome? Is this a hand that you want to 3-bet, or is this a hand you just want to flat and play in position?
think you're definitely continuing, whether that's as a 3-bet or as a flat, as the chip leader. All options are pretty on the table. He's decided to go for the 3-bet, just applying maximum pressure.
Super small as well. Is that a size that is quite standard in these types of dynamics, or do you like to see a little bit bigger than 4.3?
So here's like the power of Jerome's stack is that he can do this with a lot. And if you are a min, you're extremely uncomfortable. The chip leader has just essentially min clicked you. And so now you need to decide, well, I've actually got 20 bigs, like jamming here does seem attractive. Like it's a possibility, but at the same time, we don't want to just run into it, right? Now, obviously with the min specific hand, don't think there's much to do, but just call here.
So is there a size that you would start folding out a hand like this? Because this is kind of close to the bottom of his range, I would say.
No, this raise from Jerome is definitely targeting the offsuited variation.
Yes,
so like
yes.
Queen Jack off,
Yeah.
King 10 off, right? That is just really struggling to continue. But with the suited variation, I'm happy to continue here.
And just a beautiful flop for Jerome's range. I mean, obviously, he could have a lot here, but obviously using a lot of that Ace-X and King-X as the chip leader and just blocking your opponent's best hands to continue with. Even though Amin does have a gut shot, no backdoor flush draw, going to be pretty hard to continue. Probably going to see a really small bet here.
Jerome is utilising the what we call baby run good.
The baby run good.
Congratulate Jerome recently.
Yes. Congrats. Just had a kid.
Had a kid, and he's been capitalising on the baby run good. Have you heard of that?
No. Is it a thing?
If you have a baby on the way or you recently have a baby, you gain extra run good EV.
Okay.
And
I might need to try. I might need to try.
But you might need more than just that.
It's been brutal. Might need like a couple of twins or something like that.
And a bet gets it through.
So just wanted to ask you a bit more of an analysis question on that hand, right? Obviously, Jerome having a lot of chips and being able to apply a lot of pressure on those boards where you do have insane range advantage. Do you want to go really small, or do you want to go quite big? Because obviously there's sort of people that would say, well, you know, we have all the aces, kings, tens, ace, king, therefore we want to go big. But then there's other range where it's like, well, we don't really need to bet that big because a min can't really do a lot. So what are your thoughts on that?
That's a great question. I want to ask you, you use the word range advantage. What does that mean to you?
Okay, so range advantage essentially would be if you're using a specific action in the hand, right? So you're sort of saying, I can have this, I can have that, right? Amin basically saying, like, I don't have ace-king, right? Where Jerome can have ace-king pure as he's the one 3-betting and potentially going to call for 4-bet, right? Where Amin obviously can't have that because you'd assume majority of the time or every time he's going to be maybe slow playing aces, but, you know, jamming kings, jamming tens, jamming ace-king. So range advantage basically means I have majority of the strong hands and you don't have a lot.
Yeah.
I guess would be my answer.
That's a great way to put it, and it's just essentially that, right? If you were to take the random hands from your pre-flop range on this board and compare it with your opponent, you have an advantage. And so a long way of saying Jerome, on average, has a better hand than your opponent.
Sure.
Now, a follow-up question is, if you think you have a massive advantage in that regard, where your average hand is always better than your opponent's, doesn't make sense to bet big if they don't have much to call with.
Yes.
And so that's kind of where, if we get a little bit more technical, when you do have such a big range advantage, there's no real incentive to bet big, because if Jerome had aces, kings, ace-king, your opponent might just be drawing dead. And so you want to size down in order to have your opponent continue with weaker holdings. Maybe they do just have an underpair, maybe they just have a king, or they have a 10.
Weak ace, something like that.
Yeah, and so that is what that bet is designed for. And so, yeah, it's kind of really good question, because a lot of people use terms like range advantage, nut advantage, yada yada, but they don't actually know what it actually means or even how to apply it in your in-game scenario.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to analyze that hand. I've got a follow-up question, but we'll quickly just get into the action here. So Cam with the sunnies and the shades on, Jerome opening the cutoff with a kind of a normal hand here, flopping, I guess, sort of the dream flop for not actually hitting your hand. Has a inside straight draw, flush draw, and Cam sort of in no man's land here with the ace high. But back to that hand previously, so I did a sim once, and it was basically something along the lines of, like, you know, button opens and big blind calls, right? And the flop's ace king 2 rainbow, and this is in chip EV, obviously not ICM, and it basically said that once big blind checks, button's meant to actually bet quite big when it bets like, you know, almost pot, and that's because the big blind can't have ace king, right? So for me, when I'm dissecting that, basically it says that, okay, I have the range advantage as the button, you can't have aces kings, you can't have ace king, therefore I can bet big, right? So that's obviously different to what just happened and what you just said, right? Is this different because it's in ICM specifically, or am I misapplying that sim?
No, I think it's what you've said is very intuitive. Like, as in, it makes a lot of sense. Like, if we combine that logic of what I just explained, how if you have range advantage, you choose a smaller bet, but then you're saying on something like ace king 2, how come we're now choosing a bigger bet? And the question I want to ask you is, do you actually have range advantage, right? I'm going to ask you a question. When you're on the button, how wide are you opening? Are you opening a very tight range, or are you opening a very wide range?
Well, from the button, obviously, we're quite wide.
Yeah.
But in saying that, the big blinds still can't have ace king, aces, and kings, right? So yes, we do have range advantage,
Yeah.
but we're also quite wide.
So here's where we're getting a couple concepts mixed up. The first one is range advantage, which is what we just talked about. The second one is nut advantage. What's your understanding of nut advantage?
Okay, nut advantage more so means I have the nuts and you
Yeah,
don't, right?
it goes
Sure.
with the name, right?
Yeah.
Who's more likely to have the nuts?
Yeah.
And that's the key word, who's more likely. It's not who can have it, it's who's more likely to have it. So in that situation, when you're on the button and you open, sure, you have aces and kings and ace king, and that makes you more likely. But then when we talk about range advantage, these two concepts don't always come aligned, because the button is opening a very, very wide range. Sure, the big blind is also defending a wide range. But I want to ask you this question, Jackson. I feel like I'm interrogating.
No. I actually need
Right.
to know this because for those listening at home, I'm not the most studied tournament player, and Nelson obviously makes a living off coaching and studying and that. So it's actually quite insightful for me as well as the viewers at home. So go ahead, ask me the question. I can be the test dummy.
So the question I want to ask you is, when the button opens and you're on the big blind, how much incentive do you have to actually raise here when you're last act?
Yeah, not a lot at all. I personally play a very simplified strategy of
exactly.
quite tight and polar, which I feel like, you know, especially versus under the gun, you should be more tight because it's obviously tighter range.
Yeah.
But in saying that, against the button, you can still sort of just chill out and you know, call a lot of hands.
Overall, you don't have that much incentive to raise.
Correct.
Because your last act, you can just call this bet and you'll see the flop.
No one can
and
squeeze you out of it,
exactly,
yeah.
and you can realize all your equity. Now, how does that mean when it comes to your ace X, right? Sure, we still might 3-bet with, you know, ace king and ace queen, but maybe hands like ace jack, ace 10, ace 9 don't really have that much incentive to 3-bet anymore. So when we talk about, oh, sure, the button can have all the big ace X, that does not mean that the big blind can't have ace X themselves. And so now the range advantages aren't as clear, but the nut advantage is still in the favor of the button or the original opener. That's when you get situations where it's like, okay, now I can actually choose a big bet strategy on this flop.
So definitely I'm not asking this. It's definitely from the viewers at home. But are you meant to use a bigger size when you have the nut advantage or when you have the range advantage?
That's
or is
actually
it a complex question?
That's a great question. And it kind of like, if we've already talked about range advantage, where I said range advantage, the greater you have, the smaller bet size you should have, right? Now I'm going to ask you, if you are more likely to have stronger hands than your opponent, does it make sense to go bigger or smaller in your opinion?
I would say bigger.
Yeah, and because it's like, well, if I did have a strong hand here, I would want to bet big, right? And and so now you get these conflicting situations where it's like, okay, well, range advantage says I should bet small, but nut advantage says I should bet big. In these situations, what you'll find in Solver Sims is it kind of converges together and it ends up becoming like a medium-sized bet.
Medium-sized
The
bet,
only
sure.
time when you get one, like lots of small bets or lots of big bets, is when both of those sort of concepts combine together. So an example would be, if you don't have that much range advantage, but you have nut advantage, you're going to be heavily playing some big bet or check strategies.
Yeah.
And if you have lots of range advantage, but not the greatest nut advantage, then you're going to be choosing some smaller sizes.
And betting a lot more frequently?
Well,
Depends.
depends.
Okay.
Yeah. And so, like, obviously, it's just a really fancy and complicated way of understanding how to play flop strategies is essentially the name of the game.
Might need to jump into your coaching, mate. It's very in-depth. I'm learning some stuff here.
I'm trying to get rid of that range C-bet,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, strategy that people always talk about. But in the end of the day, what do we have here now?
So Jim's opened up, nursing quite a healthy stack. He's opened. Oscar's made the decision with 2 8s to to flat instead of 3-bet or jam, which I really like. Obviously, when as Nelson sort of touching on myself, when there are some short stacks, especially a mitt only having 6 bigs, you're sort of incentivized to not bust. You're the third chip stack, right? So busting right now is a disaster. Not that you've locked up third or anything like that, but you're way more likely to finish in that top 4 bracket than you are to just sort of put it in and hope to win a flip or something along those lines, right? Obviously, good to deny equity. But you can just sort of play it safe and just flat from the small blind there. So I think we're getting some Australian poker, putting in your socials there, guys. So for anyone that wants to check out some fun content or some coaching, I think maybe you can put a bit of a plug in there. But I believe you do like a free coaching like newsletter or something like that, as well as some really intense like 8-week courses and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I mean, sure. Like if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, I basically post every day something to do with poker. I just love sharing both my hand histories or anything about the game. If you do want to know more about that, you can just literally message me 33 and you'll get prompted to have a month's worth of free poker advice. I think for me at least, I've noticed in the poker industry, everyone's like trying to shelter their strategies.
I agree
and whatever.
completely, yeah.
But I think like, dude, this game is expanding so much that like information is everywhere.
Well,
so,
the
like,
thing
you
is,
shouldn't be
like,
shy
you
about it.
really can get, like, you can be as well studied as anyone in the world with how insanely adapt AI is these days. Right? Like, you can open GTO Wizard or Octopi or something along those lines, and you just have this wealth of knowledge at your disposal. And it's basically like, are you willing to put in the hard yards to go down that path and study hard, and or you can sort of just not go down that path and sort of play with a bit more intuition and sort of see how you are. But I think, and Nelson probably agrees with me, I think we've had a little bit of an argument about this in the past, but using a little bit of a mix of both is really fundamental. And with Nelson, his coaching and newsletters, trying to sort of get people to, I think it's like an easy way to think about playing poker instead of analysing all these different sims and that it's just an easy way to think about poker and a way to really apply it to your games, because man, solvers can get really confusing with different sizes and different hand selections. But if you can simplify it, you can be crushing these fields and give yourself a really good chance to win tournaments.
That's the name of the game, right? Is like you don't have to memorize everything, but if you know how to actually apply the concepts, appropriately, you're going to be ahead of the field 99% of the time. As we have Jerome opening up with the ace-9 off. I want to ask you a question, Jackson. Kind of touched on it earlier, but let's talk about like these stack sizes and how you personally would play with each opponent as if you were each opponent. So let's pretend you're Ben, sitting here with 8.8 bigs as he picks up King Jacko. How would you want to play this strategy, regardless of his hand?
So for me personally, and you've obviously been on a fair few more FTs than me, obviously winning a huge one at APO last year for almost 500 lacquers. You obviously were swinging that tournament. I think you believe you were pretty short and then had the chip lead, so your strategy had to adapt a lot mid-tournament. So for me, if I'm Ben, I am second shortest in chips. Amit is shorter than me, but not by a whole lot. So I'm not going to be like mega tight, because for me, it's different to Oscar, where if I'm Oscar, I have to actually be mega tight now, because if I bust in 9th when there's 2 shorties and 6 people below me, it's a disaster, right? Where if I'm Ben, I've got 8 bigs. Sure, I do want one ladder, but I also sort of want to give myself a chance to win. So not that I would put in the King Jack off there and anything like that. I'd obviously rather be the 1-2 jam myself, just having that fold equity. But I would be playing, quite snug. But if I find a spot where probably in cheap EV it feels like a jam, I'm probably just taking that one. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
No, that's cool. Like I think a lot of what you said makes a lot of sense. Like obviously Amit is the shortest, and so I feel like a lot of players here are sort of like just waiting for Amit to find a hand and go all in and possibly bust.
Which is great for Jerome.
Yeah, and I think if you are Ben, that is something you need to consider as well. Like I know you said the ladders aren't that significant, but it is still, what is it, $2,000 ladder. Like folding here, this is one of those situations when people say sometimes folding can make you money.
Yeah.
And so like if you're someone in Ben's spot and you're second last in chips, folding can actually make you money.
Yeah.
I like how you compared it to some of the other players, and so that was my next question is, let's say, for example, you're Cam. How would you play if you were in Cam's shoes? Because I think you sort of brought up, and you said if you were someone like Oscar, you'd kind of be a little bit more cautious. let's say you were in Cam's shoes, who's sort of sitting middle of the pack, how would your strategy change now?
Well, I think I would, if I'm in that Oscar, Billy, Cameron, sort of echelon 27 to 22 bigs sitting, quite significantly below the chip leader, but, Amit's only got 4 bigs. I'm like super, super tight right now. I can kind of fold and it doesn't really dent my stack, where if I'm Ben and I start folding too many orbits, like, you're taking out a quarter to half of my stack because I've only got 8 bigs, where if I've got 25 bigs, it doesn't really affect me too much. So to answer your question, if I'm like a Cameron, for example, I'm gonna play really, really snug, obviously. Don't need to get too out of line. But that's how I would play as a middling stack on this final table.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And honestly, I think a lot of people might find that like to be weird. It's like, oh, well, if I'm in the middle, I can kind of splash around and kind of get in the mix. But you actually might even play tighter from Cam's position than you would from Ben's. And it's exactly that. Like what you're saying is that busting here in 9th from someone like Oscar, Cam or Billy is disastrous when you're sort of like that middling stack. Now to like really go full circle, you're Jerome now, and you're the chip leader, you're the chip daddy. How would you play now?
So I am not blessed enough to really be in this position before. It is a position that I dream about, being a chip leader on an FT, because I actually used to get a little bit of coaching, and we did go through that. Unfortunately, haven't actually been able to act on it. As we see, Amit put in the 3.8 big. So I want to ask you a question quickly before to answer your question. I think Jerome actually wants to keep Amit in here and not bust him. So, let's say you had a hand like King 6 suited, right? Obviously a snap call in chip EV. Is that something you would consider folding, or a hand like that is too good?
What do you mean by, like, let's explain that a little bit, so like that way people at home might get a better understanding of it. So you're saying Amit, who is the clear shortest, has now jammed into the Jerome, who is the clear biggest stack.
Yeah.
Why are you saying that Jerome might consider folding more here?
So there's a I'm not sure what the concept is called, but basically Jerome can, as we've mentioned with these middling stacks, he can put these middling stacks in a world of pressure, right? They can't really play back at all until Amit and or Ben busts, right? So for Jerome, if Amit busts, and let's say he knocks out Amit and Ben within the next 2 hands, right? He now can't really put a lot of pressure on anybody because there's no clear shorty. Amin and Justin have 15 bigs, so they would be the shortest, but they're not a clear short stack. So, this is why I think you can sort of play it like that. So that would be my answer to that question. Is basically keeping him in might be the smart play.
And that makes a lot of sense. And I don't think there's enough players that actually understand that. And this is like the nuances of ICM, is that you're completely right. When Amin is still in the tournament as a short stack, the big stack has free reign over these other medium stacks who do not want to bust. Like, as we just mentioned before, it'd be horrendous if Oscar, Cam, or Billy bust right now, right? Because they're the middling stack. And so in that situation, it kind of makes sense. Like, hold on a second. If I'm sitting here as a chip leader, I actually want to keep the shorty in. And so I think a lot of people don't recognize that when your stack and your opponent's stacks matter a lot on how you're going to play certain hands, as we do see Justin with Ace King off 15 bigs.
Anything other than jamming here?
Yeah, it's probably just going to be actually is
3 bet induced potentially. Yeah. So Amit is the shortest, but obviously with a hand as strong as Ace King, I don't see any merit in doing anything. I think if potentially. What do you think if Jerome jams and Billy jams? You can never get away from this. I don't know what we're saying.
Yeah, it was kind of just like there's a couple reasons behind this. Like it's kind of like almost like a half all in, right? And it's kind of just in the situation where imagine it just goes, jam.
Yeah, can actually get away from Ace King because you're probably getting 2 or 3 ladders right now. Obviously, extremely unlikely that there's ever going to be 3 or 4 all ins in a hand, but. If you can guarantee yourself like 3 or 4 ladders and you only have Ace King off, like obviously a premium hand, but how really good are you performing when there's
like 3 jams
open 3 bet jam so and I think this is why these pocket pairs do perform quite poorly in ICM sims, as you would probably know quite well, is that the more sort of ICM pressure you are, the more you sort of want to open up these like, Ace X and stuff over these lower pairs or these lower suited connectors. Can you sort of touch on why Cam would probably rather have a hand such as like, say, like Ace 8 offsuit or Ace 9 offsuit versus pocket 5s?
Yeah, that's a good point, because when we're getting into these sort of like ICM final tables where chip stack matters a lot. You want to be, even though, like, of course, pocket fives is a decently strong hand and it is a pair in the end of the day, but we want to be comparing what can our opponents call with or could they raise with. And so when you have pocket fives compared to a hand like you said, for example, ace eight, just having an ace alone makes it much less likely your opponent has an ace or your opponent's yet to act having an ace. And
Which
this is what we
his best hands, right?
Yeah, and that's
Correct.
exactly the right term. We use hands like blockers, for example. And I know I know people have like a stigma when it comes to blockers. Oh, blockers are not real, but it is a significant factor. Like if you're holding an ace, it significantly reduces the
They
chance.
have 25% less chance of having an ace, right? Obviously
Exactly.
having one of the four, and that's why you'll see like these like suited kings or these like suited or offsuit aces becoming hands that in ICM you rather open. Like I think there's some extreme sims where you can fold like pocket eights under the gun and stuff like that.
100%.
And you'd rather open up a hand like ace nine off, which is you would never think that that's a thing, but that's sort of how it treats these spots, and especially when you've got a chip leader like Jerome who knows his stuff and is going to be with the chip leader applying a super
Here's
amount
an
of pressure.
interesting spot for Billy.
So this
That's
is
the power. That's the power right there of the chip leader.
So
right?
even though you have a hand that strong, and you do obviously know that Jerome is going to be opening up almost any two, I would say, in that spot.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a hand as strong as ace ten off that you're still passing, considering that there are 4 stacks shorter than yours? Or is that a hand that you think is too good button versus small blind?
Here's the thing, like, it's easier said than done. Like, I could say all day all the reasonings why you should take a hand like ace 10. For example, Jerome is the chip leader, he's on the button, he's going to be opening almost, depending on how he's feeling, maybe the baby run good is gotten into him, probably any 2 cards here.
Yeah,
right?
Especially any king, queen, or ace X, just having that high card.
How does ace 10 perform against that? Well, it does very well, and I think playing a lot of 3-bets or even jams would make a lot of sense from Billy's perspective.
So would you rather jam or 3-bet though? Because when you get 3-bet, obviously you can face a 4-bet jam.
Now you're getting to like really complex situations where it's like, are we 3-bet inducing or are we 3-bet bluffing? And I don't think you're 3-bet bluffing here with ace 10, and you would be 3-bet inducing.
Sure.
But like I said, it's much easier said than done. How confident do you feel? Nine players remaining, you're like 4th in chips or something like that, and the big stack, one of the main people who could bust you with a 5 big blind stack still in there. How confident are you to jet 3-bet here to induce?
Yeah.
So in that case, I think a jam would play much better.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
As we'll quickly get back into this action before we go to the rest of the question. This is a brutal run out for Jerome now, obviously.
Yeah. Jerome,
as we've just been talking about for the last 15 minutes, is going to be opening up at such a wide range, but also can put a lot of pressure on. And sort of Jim can't have a lot of strong hands as he has the advantages and stuff. So, Jim obviously picking up that kind of random 2-pair. And even with a hand as strong as 2-pair right now, I don't think raising is actually in the question. And why do you think that is, Nelson? I mean, you obviously know, but why for the viewers do you think?
I mean, that's exactly what we've just been talking about. As he looks like he announces a raise, and I think Jerome's going to get off cheap there, because I do think Jerome
blasted.
He would have, and a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about so far is about that, like taking note, being conscious of the chip stacks and what that can mean for each individual player. And we've sort of been really honing down, if you're in, someone like Jim or Billy or Oscar, you're going to have to be very cautious, but I don't think Jim cares. He's putting the chips in.
And there are some of these players that just sort of get their 2-pair or a strong hand, and they're sort of just like, let's just see if you've got it. And if you've got aces or something like brutal like that, it sort of is what it is. And, not that there's anything wrong with that. Obviously, everyone can play how they want, but sort of there's a couple of things I wanted to mention in that hand. So with there being an ace and a king on that flop, Jerome is going to most likely just triple barrel this and just put max pressure on a weak ace or, a weak or a strong middling king and put him in the blender. Obviously, picking up 2-pair is very, very helpful. But as we see, Ben, I'm not sure exactly what he's done. I think has he min opened off 9 bigs. This is something that I've actually seen. It gives you a little bit of an outlet if it goes sort of some crazy action. But obviously with 9 bigs, you sort of, can't do a lot. But it's actually not going to get through. So do you want to...
Well, actually, that's what you just said, like, kind of brings up a really good point. Is like, okay, so if you're in Ben's spot, it kind of a lot of players get in a situation where it's like, I've got 9 bigs, it's all in or fold,
yeah.
right? And they get in the mindset of I'm only going all in or fold. But I encourage you to be a little bit more creative. Maybe there's other options on the table, and so in this situation, he's decided to, instead of open jamming King Jack off, he's gone for 2 big blind opens, gets 3-bet. He can possibly start folding and just, you know what, just copying, the 2 big blinds, living another day. And
especially when one
there
of
we
the
go.
non-chip leaders 3-bets, because
Exactly.
obviously Billy's 3-betting with Jim behind, right? So it has to be a little bit tighter. Would you have liked to see Billy potentially just flat there on the button and try rope in Jim, who's one of the 2 chip leaders, to do something a little bit crazy, or bring
Well-
Cam in from the big blind? Or do you think you just sort of want to just 3-bet and be quite balanced in that spot?
It's funny because I just talked about being creative, but sometimes I think you're being a little bit too creative
yeah.
for stuff like that. And I think it's definitely like something worth thinking about. But with aces there, you don't want to have a horror story and just let the blinds come in.
Sure.
It might be a different story if Jim or Cam have shown like heaps of aggression and they're happy to put chips in.
3-betting like anything with...
Exactly.
And I think there are a lot of spots where there's like an open and a call, and you can sort of pounce on that. I do agree with you, Isaac. I don't think Justin was ever folding ace-king.
Yeah, it was more so if he didn't have ace-king, there's possible hands he can...
Or like a super extreme shot where it's like, 3 or 4 jams, and he can just sort of get 3 or 4 guaranteed ladders and stuff like that. But Mark, I hope that answers your question with Nelson's analysis on how we folded ace-10 against the min-raise. Obviously, sort of went through as much as we could with that hand, and brought some analysis there that potentially opened your eyes to that. Obviously, looks like a little bit of a spew to not put that in, but we've mentioned that there are, you can make money just being patient and folding. So just to get your final answer, would you rather have, 3-betting was probably out of the question, would you rather have folded or jammed if you were Billy in that hand where he had the ace-10 from the small blind?
Look, as I said, it's much easier said than done. I think a jam there performs extremely well. I think when you're in these sort of situations, it's very easy to be tunnel visioned and focused on, I just don't want to bust. I don't want to bust.
You do have to,
which is true. Which is true. You don't want to bust, but you don't allow yourself to pick up opportunities that arise. The chip leader, who's the overwhelmed chip leader, is on the button. They're opening every single hand. You need to take advantage of that. It's one of those situations where you see sometimes on final tables the chip leaders just dominating everything. It's because other players are allowing that to happen. If people can find these jams, can find these 3-bets against the chip leader, they are actually forced to play pretty face up, and they kind of have to, then he's not going to continue there with Queen 7 off, I think Jerome had. And so you just pick up 2 big blinds on the open plus 2 big blinds from the big blind and ante. That's 4 big blinds when you're in Billy's spot. That is a lot, right?
Just wanted to touch on this hand. Now, this is an interesting one, and I want to hear your thoughts. We're just getting banger hand after banger hand, and this is really interesting for me as well, guys. Like Nelson obviously super studied and sort of has a career just learning the game and coaching the game. So, with Billy's hand, firstly, are you opening 7s from the cutoff? Is that a hand that is obviously a snap open in chip EV, and I'm assuming still is an open from ICM perspective, but are you ever folding this with a chip leader to your left, or is this a hand that you actually might just find a fold with 2 really short stacks?
I think you actually can, and I definitely think it sounds preposterous, and you think, how can you ever fold pocket 7s here from the cutoff, right? Like you might say, if it's under the gun, sure, maybe I'll fold, but how can I do it? But you have to recognize how much ICM is on these guys, and how much money you can actually make if you do just fold, right? If you fold here and now Jim opens and then one of the shorter stacks behind jams, there's a possibility that someone, gets knocked out and you make $2,000. And I think it's kind of like a balancing act from recognizing that and also wanting to pick up chips. And I think that's what can make these like FTs feel so complicated.
They're so interesting.
Yeah.
We have a privilege to be, firstly watching an FT like this, but commentating it, and with a lot of good players, there's a lot of spots that are interesting. I think we've been given a bit of a gift of seeing a heap of these hands early.
For sure.
But just wanted to touch on Oscar's decision now. Obviously, as we mentioned, there are short stacks, and he is at 30 big, so he's sitting, he's sitting third in chips pretty comfortably now. He picks up the ace-king suited, I think, from the big blind now. Is that a hand that you want to call, 3-bet induce and call off, or just whack yourself? So Billy opened off 25 bigs, right? So it was like third v fourth in chips. So what would you do in Oscar's spot? Obviously, ace king is a absolute premium hand, but
That's a great question, but I want to sort of like shift the analysis a little bit. Let's pretend we didn't see Oscar's hand and we didn't know he had ace king there, and or maybe you're in Oscar's position and you haven't looked down at your hand yet. How much incentive do you want to battle with another middle stack?
no, not at all.
And why is that?
Well, you do not want to just get in a spot where you're putting in the chips, because at the end of the day, you're sitting really, really comfortable. Third and fourth in chips, both of you. So
Yeah, both players are quite comfortable, and so both players should be playing relatively straightforward, and there's not going to be that much mucking around. So then now when you do look at ace king, right, how does that fit into your strategy overall? We just said you don't have that much incentive to raise. So does that mean you're going to be raising a lot of hands or only your premium hands?
you're going to be very, very polar.
Yeah, exactly. And so obviously ace king kind of fits into that. Has it just gone?
Yeah, so Ben's defended off 4 big blinds, which, you're going to see a hand like Jack 4 offsuit, and I think if you have like 8 bigs, you can just pitch this and fold. But with 4 bigs, you kind of just want to try hit and see a flop, as Jerome needs a ace or a 4 to win and fades it. So Ben with a nice timely double up. Obviously, there's going to be about 6 blokes that are pretty shattered that he's doubled up, but obviously, flopping middle pair and that 4 of hearts, he's going to be putting that in every day of the week. So, yeah, well done to Ben, and finds a double. So we've just got a mitt now as the clear short stack, and Ben sort of now gets into that position with sitting with a min, and now Cam, who's in that sort of second tier. So this is going to be a really interesting FT, guys. I think we're going to be going till, I'm going to say there has been no bust out, so maybe like 5 a.m. Probably not us the whole time. We'll see. But if you guys have any more questions, I think maybe we're going to be getting kicked out of the booth shortly when Liam comes back. So if you have any questions for myself or Nelson before we head off, feel free to chuck it in there. And we can go ahead and answer as many simple or potentially complex questions as you can. I might leave those complex ones for Nelson. But Isaac's asked, do you guys not have a flat button? So I'm going to say he's referring to no one really flat calling any hands pre when there's an open. Is this something that you sort of see in ICM sims where there's basically no flats in a lot of positions, maybe besides big blind? Or is it, are we doing 3-bet or folding a lot?
Well, I want to ask you that actually. So let's say, for example, you're like a middling stack. Let's say you're Cam or Oscar, and someone has opened in front of you. Based off the conversation we've had so far, how much incentive do you have to get involved in these pots if you had a marginal hand?
Yeah, very minimal.
And why is that?
You don't want to bust when there's a couple of shorties.
And also combined with the fact that just folding can make you money as well.
Correct, yeah.
And so it's like we don't actually have to get that involved in the hand if we don't have to. That's going to make us, tighten up a lot. But as well, if we were to play, we should probably play it a little bit more aggressively, because now we can put the aggression and the pressure on whoever did open. And so what you'll see a lot of time on these FT situations is not many flat calls unless you are like a overwhelming chip leader or you do cover whoever is opening.
Yeah, so with Cam's hand here opening off, I believe, 17 bigs, is there sort of a size you'd prefer? So, 17 opening into Oscar, yes, has 30, but Ben having 13, having 14. Would you rather see a jam here from Cam, 17 effective, or would you prefer that just min click and...
I do think 17 is a touch too big. Let's say he did have something like 14 or 13. That
so
could be a lot more
even though the
reasonable.
2 blinds had 13, 14, but that one guy had 30 bigs, which covers you obviously, you still think that's enough to warrant just min opening?
That's what we use the term like effective stack. It's quite important because sure, the blinds had shorter than you, but if someone does cover you, you are now the effective stack and you're now at your tournament risk, right? Or your tournament life is at risk. So you want to make sure you're keeping that in mind when you are making decisions. Yeah.
So the last question we've got for you, Nelson, from Mike, who we haven't seen in a while. I think he's moved to Canada. Is when is the next up the stakes? Which is you can actually
Mike
explain that
Maddox.
quickly. Yeah.
Mike Maddox, how are you going, man? Good to see you in the chat. It's been a while. Yeah, so for those of you guys who don't know, I run a poker coaching program called Up the Stakes. It's a 6-week intensive cohort, and we run through basically what I like to call it's like meta learning poker, learning how to learn poker. I'm not going to go too much into it. I don't want to sound like a sellout, but we're just about to wrap up cohort 3, and we're going to do cohort 4 in early May, and I'm super excited for that one.
Awesome. All right, thanks, Nelson, for jumping on. I think me and you were going to hit the rail for a little bit and watch the boys play while we get Liam back in the booth. So thanks, guys.
Pleasure.
Yeah, really honoured to be commentating this FT, and we haven't seen a bust out yet, which is actually makes it more fun for us. We get to analyse these hands a bit more in depth and see the different sort of player personalities go at it, and hopefully you learnt a little bit from me and Nelson in this maybe half an hour session. So thanks again, guys, and we'll flick you over to Liam. Cheers.
See ya.
You have to move like 4 items every time you want.
Enough out of you, bro. You won enough tournaments.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have been joined by the always handsome Harvey Silver. Thank you very much, mate.
I've had a nice little break. Thank you very much. The boys did a great job carrying this through. I thought I'd come back in and there'd be 5 or 6 left.
Mate, the interesting thing about this is this might be the most talented final table that I have seen in APT.
Yeah, it's
honestly, the cream of the absolute crop. So, Harvey, I'll give you a bit of a rundown. So, Justin and Jerome, for players who've played at Crown for many years, you will be very familiar with their faces. 2 of the best cash game regs in the city. Extremely talented tournament players as well. Who else do we have? We have Amin Riazati. I don't have to tell you a thing about that bloke. You know it all. We have Oscar Fong, a young and upcoming Malaysian bro. Jim Andriatis, a businessman who certainly holds his own. Billy Hun, who is also absolutely building his own resume around the 400 to 1K stakes. I think this will probably be his breakout score if he does have a result here. one of the things that you guys don't know is how good at poker Ben Richardson is. Ben Richardson, when we were all learning the game, he was GTO before GTO was a thing. GTO, of course, is the... If two computers played perfectly, how would they play perfectly? Of course, in live poker, we never see... Harvey and I have seen it all week. Something always changes, but... and, Harvey, as if that's not impressive enough, Amit Shorey, he's also a main event winner as well. He's won... Yeah.
We've got some really stacked players here. The problem for Amit is he's not stacked. He's really
he's very short,
here.
but I mean that's tournaments, right? Like, yeah. Anyway, the only other person I want to talk about is Cameron Lawless, an extremely big personality. But you know, look, we love Cam. He was involved in all of our social media this week. So yeah, we really. Is there anyone I missed? I think that's everyone. Don't want to miss anyone. No, I think that's everyone. And the other thing is we have Harvey Silver. No one else has Harvey, just us.
And you're fortunate, and everyone else is unfortunate. Hang on, I meant that round the other way. I've got a nice little rail in there too, mate. A lot of people have come from downstairs to watch this final table.
One of the best things in poker is the camaraderie. You know, like, I can't tell you how much money Amin has won from me over the years, but we still went to lunch the other day and we celebrated his Goliath win. Like, that's the kind of thing that happens, especially at APT. We're just a big family.
Yeah.
You know? Amin's won all the money, but, you know, like, he shouted lunch, so it's fine. Harvey, you did me a really big solid the other night. How was the footy?
Footy was great, yeah. I'm a
Die-hard, right?
Yeah, mad Collingwood supporter, so it was fun, and I normally am very loud at the footy, but I knew I was on the mic tonight, so I saved my voice a little.
Yes, I was worried Harvey would be a bit raspy, but he's all good. Anyway, Ace-7 for Amit. He's probably wanted a bit of a better hand, but sometimes you just have to take a stand. It's good enough from late position. Billy, he probably... I think he just has to call. Sorry, I know he has to call. It's only 2.7 blinds. Jim Andriatis, though, plenty of chips behind. Harvey, would you call the all-in with 2 5s?
I think I would call it without hesitation.
Absolutely. If you were Jim, would you call with the King 8 of diamonds being the chip leader?
Yeah.
Yep. Perfect.
I'm learning.
Guys, for those that have been following the stream, Harvey and I have been doing some small little quizzes. And, well... You're ticking every box, mate.
I've watched a lot of poker, so
I know.
I think I'm getting better.
One of the best things about Harvey is he's passionate about the game, but he knows that the expert stuff is probably us, and
Yep, I agree. And
he's
there's a
the
key
production expert.
on the flop. So it was worth Jim calling out of the big blind.
Certainly was. The interesting thing here is Jim probably needs to protect his hand a little bit. When we talk about protection, there's lots of scary turn cards for Jim. So, like, let's say a jack or an ace or a queen comes on the turn. Lots of hands that Billy might have will hit that turn card. So protecting your hand is sort of charging a hand that is susceptible to charging them a premium. So he does decide to bet, and Amit will need 1 of 3 aces. Or running hearts, I believe, which is runner is never. Turn is now queen. There we go. You know what, Harvey? I'm very proud of you. You didn't call that. You didn't affect the outcome.
I think you now will understand. I am not responsible for this. I have a mate talking about the footy, right? I have a mate. All my mates are St Kilda supporters. That's why it was so fun for me
yes.
tonight.
I imagine you winded them up.
Who, whenever he's watching the footy, they blame him when St Kilda. Turn it off, Eric, is on our chat. Like, Eric, turn it off. And you're doing the same for me. It's not my fault.
So funny. The other night, Harvey called 2 bust outs perfectly.
Yes.
And I felt awful because it was Ace King versus Ace King, which is almost every time a split. And Harvey's like, isn't this an awful way to get out when it comes 4 to a flush, and bang, there it was. Yeah. Like cork. clockwork.
A little bit of news from inside there, Liam. We are going to assess how things are going in about 45 minutes, because if this keeps going at this pace,
These
it's going to
guys-
finish at a crazy time, and it's just not fair on the players.
And one of the, I really want to commend APT here, because these guys are playing for somewhat life-changing money. Some of these guys are in a different, like they're in a, let's say he's had some extremely cool results, but like when you're tired, you don't have the energy to make the best decision.
Yep.
So these guys have been playing at an extremely high level for about 13 hours today. After 13 hours, you are spent. It's just
pretty
like a
tough.
marathon runner. The last kilometre... Oh, sorry, I don't know a huge amount of marathons.
Well,
The last kilometre is always the toughest. For these guys, when you're tired, you sometimes make mistakes. This crew, probably not as much. But something as poker players we love is when we are respected in the sense of, this is huge money. I really want... Like, these guys will be looking forward to a break.
and it's huge money. I mean, just have a look at that pool. Nearly 425 grand in the pool and 100K
It's
up top
just
is
unreal.
just sensational.
Harvey, are you familiar with the World Series of Poker?
Oh, I will tell you my World Series of Poker story, because
The reason I bring that up is one of the biggest criticisms of the World Series of Poker main event is it is the toll on your body in the main event is crazy. So not only is it 2-hour levels, but it is back to back to back to back to back to back. I believe it's probably even 6 days in a row now. Like, so if you're day 6, you've been playing 60 hours of poker. As you get older, that becomes more and more difficult. So Phil Hellmuth, one of the most famous poker players in the world, he is basically saying, hey, if this continues, I'm not playing. Because he knows that by day 5, he's going to be so tired, he knows he will make a mistake. So, but whereas if he had a big sleep, he'd be sweet.
Yeah.
Because, of course, he's one of the most accoladed players in the world.
And it's also, I suppose, the toll on you. It's
For
not
sure.
just that you're not going to win it. It's
Yes.
the recovery from it is
Absolutely.
really tough.
Yeah. And, sitting at a poker table, it's ergonomically terrible. Like, my physio will be impressed that I said that. Ace King suited for Oscar. Definitely a hand he's going to be raising under the gun. Now, Harvey, what we've seen from Oscar earlier, very aggressive. He's going to have much worse hands than Ace King as well. Probably Ace Jack, Ace Queen, all of the pairs. Maybe 8s through to, all of it. But Cam Lawless in the big line with Queen Jack offsuit. He's going to get a good price, but
It's not one of your favourite starting hands, is it?
No.
Queen Jack. It looks very attractive.
yeah, it looks great, but what we call the reverse implied odds. So if I flop a jack, sometimes my opponent actually has King Jack or Ace Jack, and then I'm in a world of hurt. So we really need to tread carefully. So we want to exercise that pot control that we were talking about, passive decisions. So the check rather than the bet. Because if we check, we can call, but we may not be able to call a raise.
Exactly.
Anyway,
So I will remind me to tell you my World Series poker. 'Cause
yes,
it is,
I'm definitely
it is my
interested.
bucket list thing to play
Beautiful.
as a recreational player, to play in the World Series of Poker main event. And I did go over the States a few years ago to do that.
Yep.
And I'll tell you my sob story.
Don't tell me you had a bad beat in the main.
No. So, God, I wish I'd got there. Then I wouldn't be still be on my bucket list. So, again, just getting back to it, mate, we were going to play through.
Yep.
And we came onto the stream tonight intending to play through, but I think saner heads have prevailed from exactly what you're saying. It's
Absolutely
just too much of an
applauding
ask
APT
for these
for
guys.
this decision. There is a very famous story about a main event going through till like 8 a.m. It's just not good for the players.
No.
APT certainly looking after everyone,
Yeah, so we've...
including us.
Including us
Including
and-
our team here, which is, as you will not catch a tournament director, dealer. They all do insane hours, so very thankful for APT on that decision. Obviously, extremely taxing job this stream for Matty Marshall, so got to look after him as well. Pocket fours from in. 8.5 big blinds. Is this good enough for a min? What do you reckon? Is he going to play it?
I think yes.
Yes, okay. Amin has had an incredible series. So Amin was the winner of our Goliath for 55,000, and then the other day he got it was second. Do you remember the event? Andrew Hawes was the winner, I believe. Was it the?
That was the one.
Yes, the flipper.
The flipper.
Yep. So Amin was the far and away most experienced poker player on that table, and we saw the dark horse prevail, and wasn't it a great comeback? Ace 5 offsuit for Cam Lawless. Pocket fours for Amin. Cam has 2 overs, but he can't know that. Harvey, we spoke about how powerful the Ace 5, Ace 4, Ace 3 the other day. Cam will have almost 35% against everything.
However, he has folded and
does let it go.
Some very important chips for Amin.
Guys, always professional. Catherine Young, our media superstar, has corrected us. Our mid-stakes champion.
It was the mid-stakes,
yes.
Of course it was.
Of course,
the flipper
Catherine
was
knows.
the night before.
Jordan Battis was our flipper win. I believe that might be one of Jordan's biggest scores. Congratulations to him. If you're in the commentary feed, give us a yell. We'd love to have a chat to you. How nice for us to know that we're not going to be here till 5 a.m. Harvey and I were very concerned about that. Absolutely. We were ready, but I don't know about you. I'm like 5 a.m. for me is pretty tough these days.
It's real tough.
Especially with kids at home.
So the last sort of couple of hours have been spent with people running around just making sure we have the space here. We definitely have the room tomorrow. We just had to make sure that we had the TDs and the dealers. And well, Matty, of course.
One of the
can't do the stream without him. So I think we're in shape to wrap it up at some stage.
One of the interesting things is a lot of our dealers travel the country dealing all kinds of events. APT's their home, but they oftentimes they might have a different event. So we're very thankful to have them all here tomorrow.
So again, if you've just joined the feed, we are going to be assessing this in about half an hour. And we'll probably come up with a time, I'd imagine, at that point, and that might just depend on...
We should be able to let you know a time, and then these players will know as well. So as soon as we know, we will let you know. Catherine, chuck out a video. Actually, we should just let her relax. She's worked very hard this week. Catherine, of course, one of the best dealers in the country. She then became the APT media lady, and hasn't she knocked it out of the park? Thank you very much for your efforts this week, Catherine. I tried to drag her off to lunch with me, and she was forced to hang out with me, so...
Fair enough.
Are you going to... I know you love your poker. Are you going to play anything in Aussie Millions? Maybe? Maybe chuck an event?
Just have to find out how much of it I'm working, so...
Yeah, true.
Probably early on, because we don't stream until sort of into it. But actually, Aussie Millions, we might stream a lot. So... I'll know soon enough.
Fair enough, and I'm sure Harvey will let us know. But we do
Very
have a
exciting.
hand developing. Ace Queen off for Mr. Andriatis in the hijack. Certainly a hand you will be raising.
Oh, sorry, it's 250, sorry. 250.
Harvey, how exciting for the Australian community in poker to see the APT and Crown Poker partnership. It's a real coup. I've said it lots because I am so excited.
Yeah, look, it's a breakthrough, and we've spoken about how great it was to play at Crown for a long time, and how everyone really got to know each other in the poker
memories
community.
Of Crown in the sessions I used to do. There's mate, times I've finished at 7, went to work at 8. In my time before being pokering full time, wasn't always the best employee.
So all of them are holding an ace with a fairly decent kicker here. This might be a bit of a fun hand for us.
Amin is like. So we talk about the future equity of having lots of chips. So even though there's some financial implications of busting here, if Amin is able to go from 8 to 24 big blinds, he's right back in it. So he won't be making too snug a fold, like, you know, very tight fold. I imagine he'll just be running. Actually, I don't know. Amin does all. He's such a unique man.
Well, he's going to have to put it all in here because Ben's gone all in with his 15 big blinds, and I think he's got to go here, doesn't he? Surely.
For Amin, I think it's too good a hand. Ben. So if we think about the dynamic that is occurring, so Ben is in the small blind, Jim is in late position. So as we get in later positions, we tend to raise more hands than we would from early position, which you and I have talked about all week.
So it is all in. So
Yep.
now we get to Jim.
Yep. And now it's back to Jim. I don't know what Jim's going to do. I think against these two, well, I mean, maybe it's just, anyway.
He's got a lot of chips, Jim.
He does. And he's a man who loves to gamble while he's got them.
It's not a call, that is time bank.
It's one of the things that we often see. Recreationals, well, professional recreationals, certainly not an insult, but one of the hardest things you can do is watch someone turn their cards over as soon as time. You know, like people get used to the one chip thing. Just be careful, guys. Well, another time bank, not a call. Jim really thinking his time through this one. One thing that I think he'll probably be thinking of is he doesn't want to give Ben Richardson or Amin a triple up. Happy to watch them battle it out. Ace Queen O, maybe not quite good enough to battle them both. Ace 10 and Ace Queen, unfortunately for Ben, although he wasn't making an incorrect decision, he has run into it, so he's going to need to make a straight or a 10. Harvey, pick a hand. Who's your favourite?
Well, he's miles in front of him, so I'm going to
stick with
play the odds.
All right. No chops yet. Turn is now a flush draw. Ben down to just... Oh, my Lord, Harvey. Where did that 10 come from?
We weren't even thinking it,
No.
and with
You
that
know,
bang...
You know why we weren't thinking it? Because it was against him. He
Yeah.
doesn't lose those.
And he has, and as we see, the great man up there.
The great man.
Fist pumps all round.
We might not always understand it, but there's always something brewing in Amin's brain. What a series for him. I think this will probably just about lock up the player of the series prize. APT, of course, guaranteeing two $10,600 player of the series prizes.
It's into the main event of the Aussie
Yes.
Millions. Is that right?
How exciting. The Aussie Millions
incredible.
back at Crown. And APT, how many tickets did we give away this week? At least 10. Nah, maybe not 10. 5, 6?
Between 5 and 10.
Yeah.
6, 7?
Yeah, I mean, Crown ran a big satellite on the weekend.
Yes.
We almost got half of them.
Yes. And you were talking about the partnership before.
Yes.
You know, that's going to be really exciting. Can't wait for the Aussie Millions. And, you know, it was such a fixture on everyone's calendar. It was such a great time. You came down, you played the Aussie Millions, you went to the tennis. It was, you know, it was such
it's really interesting because a lot of these guys, it was actually before our time. So, like, the 10K main at Aussie Millions is going to look extremely different than it did 15 years. How long ago? 10? 10 years?
10, I reckon.
Yeah. So, I mean, most of these guys, you'd be very comfortable seeing them play. So we'll see how we go. Aside from bankroll, they all certainly have the skill.
And I think you're right. I think Amin's got definitely one of those tickets.
Absolutely.
He's had such a series
If he
here.
hasn't got it here, he's probably anyway. Harvey,
He'd have to not play anything else, pretty much.
you've played a lot of poker. I guess would you say as a recreational player?
Yeah.
It's not really pursued it as a profession
Oh,
before.
no, not at all.
So, how have you seen poker change over the years? Do you
Oh,
feel like
man.
players have advanced themselves, or is it all the same, or you know what I mean? Like, is everyone a wizard now?
It's a really interesting discussion. So, I started playing poker with my very good group of mates on my parents' dining table, and we
How
would
old
have
were
been
you?
19,
Yeah,
I
wow,
reckon.
okay.
And we played Manila.
Yep.
And-
Manila is such a common game. This is certainly not meant by offence, but I've never played Manila.
No, well, you wouldn't have. It's an old
Most
person's
of these guys,
European old
most
guys.
of these guys have not played
No.
Manila. Some of them love mixed games, but they still don't play Manila. So, yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's the it is. It's the old blokes, from Europe sort of game. But yeah, I was 18, so let's be conservative and say 40-ish years later, that same group of guys gets together every 2 months and plays Manila.
Yeah.
So that's my friendship group,
Yep.
and poker's been a big part of that.
Yeah.
Since we were kids.
You know what was really a really funny experience for me I live in Brisbane, but I used to come to Crown a lot to play poker, and I lived here for 8 months, and I lost thousands of dollars playing the game. You know the limit Omaha table at Crown? I reckon it was 6 of the same guys that I saw 8 years ago. The average age, maybe 70. Like it was, it seems to be a very popular game in that crowd. Not a young man inside.
So this would be what I've seen change.
Yes.
It would be that it was such a gathering, recreational,
Yep.
excuse for the boys to get together, sort of thing. And it wasn't about money, and there wasn't money in it. And
Yep.
so, I've probably seen it go from being very much a pastime,
Yes.
and then the explosion, and then the understanding that you could actually do this for a profession.
Yeah.
And so that's such an evolution.
Professional poker players were such a small portion of the community, right? Everyone else was just off to work the next day, and if they played a long session, they were there till 3, and they started work at 8 or whatever they did.
Yeah. So, as soon as it became, a career opportunity,
Yep.
and people then started to really take it seriously, study it,
sure.
spend a lot of time.
Harvey, how much do you reckon some of these professional poker players study each week, if you had to guess?
I think there'd be enormous difference between
Yeah.
that. But I think you will know this and you will tell
for
us,
sure.
but there's going
Sort
to
of
be
leading to that question, yes.
dedicated group of guys that you would know that would spend a lot
Yes.
of time on
Yep.
craft.
Yes. So within poker, there is an extreme amount of skill and strategic advantage. The more you know, the better you're going to be. So, for example, if you know that you should bet half of the amount in the middle every time, well, then you should do that. There are definitely, everyone plays differently, but there is a brand of poker that will just win in the long run, and that's sort of what we all need to do. Just develop our fundamentals. Not everyone has to be a min. He's very unique. But if you just develop your fundamentals, so bet when you have a good hand, check when you maybe have a draw, all of those kinds of things are all ways we can improve. And was I telling you earlier, someone else? I think I was telling Monkey. Sorry, quickly. Very much thankful for Monkey. He helped me out.
He was great.
He was.
And I was on with him for a fair while.
He's a legend, and he did me a huge favour. I had some drama outside of poker, but we're back in the booth. And he couldn't have been more helpful in looking after me as a mate. So, very thankful. I was telling Monkey that my Uber driver is a university student. He sometimes plays poker with his friends. And I said, one of the easiest things you can do is stop playing hands like Ace 6, Ace 7, Ace 8, Ace 9, start playing ace 10, jack, queen, king, ace. Sorry, queen, king, and then 2, 3, 4, 5. If you can just develop that discipline, you'll start winning so much more. And we discussed it the other day.
Yes.
It made a lot of sense. Because we can, quickly, I'll finish that and then we'll move on to something else. Because you can make some straights and suited combinations are so much better as well. But ace 6, 7, 8, 9, you just can't really make a straight. And in a big pot, they're most often than not going to have a better hand.
So we're going to set a task for our viewers out there, which is
Yes.
especially ace 9, which people play all the time,
It's
right?
right on the cusp of,
Yeah.
it's not quite ace 10, but it feels good enough.
Okay, if you play ace 9 against advice here from Liam, just think
Players-
about how much money you've lost playing ace 9, and then you'll realise probably should have listened to Liam.
I think, Harvey, there's a very distinct memory from my time learning about poker. And I remember playing at Crown. I ended up playing a 4-way all-in pre-flop with ace 10 offsuit. And this was when I was very fresh. And I just got shown ace king, ace queen, and pocket jacks. I was dead. I remember I'm never playing a big pot with ace 10 offsuit again.
I'm just gonna stop you there because Amit just pushed all in with an ace 6.
Yes. So the later position,
Of course.
the later position we are, the wider the range of hands, because there are less opponents we need to consider. If all of our opponents behind us in their first turn, we know that they don't play, we only have 3 other hands that could potentially be better than our ace. Sometimes it's just going to happen, but other times you just need to take the risk.
Sure, and positions, one thing that probably in the course of recreational play is not considered nearly enough.
I'm very proud of the poker player my wife has become, but one of the first things we discussed is before she met me, she'd never had any experience with poker, so we were really working with the basics. I just basically said, let's work on some fundamentals, in position, out of position, and understanding how important it is. If I have more information than you, I have an advantage. So anytime you're in position, we have more information, because I will always have to have my turn first.
So it's on the record here, everyone. One of the first things that Liam ever discussed with his wife was position. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, it was poker position. Sorry. Okay.
Harvey, that is enough. My wife is an angel. It is my 5th anniversary today, and I'm at work here with you.
Lovely. Now we will move
We
off
will
that.
not be disrespecting my wife on my anniversary.
We because we now have. Oh, he's folded the 7s. Okay.
Yes.
I thought we were going to go.
No. Seven's
good fold.
just not quite good enough.
Good fold here.
I mean, unfortunately, going to need to spike an 8. Pocket Jack's a big favourite. Going to win this one just about 4-1. Pocket 8s have a flush
spade.
draw.
Still needs a spade.
Never easy. Jack's on the river. Good game to omit. Mate, tough final table. He took every opportunity he could. Sometimes it's just not our day. But the great thing is, if I said to you on day 1, you're going to come 7th, you would be ecstatic. That result, probably not what he's dreaming of, but, if he held with those 8s or, not his day, but congratulations, a great result.
I think if it came to the table reasonably short
He
as
did.
well.
And that's what I mean. He did everything he could. It just wasn't his day. Because sometimes, I'm sure Amit's a very talented player. I know that he's had some great results. The cards we get has a lot to do with that. Even the best in the world, they can't play King 2. All day you just can't play Queen 3. So
And he walks away with 11.5k, and that's
again,
hardly,
if I said
hardly
to you,
sneezing money, is it?
play poker for 2 days and then I'll give you 11 grand. You'd be a happy boy. Not many professions are better than that. Guys, play
Again.
ace queen suited for Oscar Fong. We've seen
Is
him on
this
the.
the only hand
It's
that
all
this guy
Oscar plays.
gets?
He only plays good hands.
And it's always hearts too.
Yeah. So just quickly, the players and APT are going to be deciding if we'll be bagging for a day 3 Once we know, we will let you know in the interest of player welfare and also for our staff who work so hard all series. You know, it's already 20 to 2. This isn't going to be over. You know, if we played through, we would be, you know, we might be here till something like 7 a.m. or something. Just depends on how it all goes. So, for Harvey and I and the players and Matty, Marshall, our wizard behind, I'm just not sure if we will bag, but we're just going to, you know, let these players go home and have a sleep. Straight flush draw for Jim Andriatis. He'll be very confident in his hand. I believe he'll probably want to be starting to lay the trap. Start out with a check. What do we know about Oscar already? He loves to bet. So if Jim checks, actually no, he's going to lead. Why do I say anything? Just like Amin, he does exactly the opposite of what I thought would happen. Cam first. Cam has a gut shot, but he's between a rock and a hard place. If he calls and Oscar raises, he then has to, you know, it's just a hand that you just want to fold. Yep. Jim, unfortunately, no customers. The price was wrong.
You talked about the study and the craft and
Yes.
all of that, and it was so great to see that someone who probably doesn't spend a heap of time studying poker and just plays the cards in front of him can still get up and win a big tournament.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yep.
Andrew Hawes was the winner of our...
That was the one that, I mean, came second in.
Yes. What did Catherine... Oh,
yeah, that was right. It was the...
wasn't the flipper? It was the other one.
The
mid-stakes, sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
I was going to say short stack.
To be clear, I mean... yeah, anyway. Andrew did extremely well to do what most of us in the 1500s, 2.5Ks have not been able to do for so long. Like, Andrew somehow battled back and took the lead, and
he was nearly gone.
For sure.
And he came, I think he had 6 big blinds left. And
yep. And that's the nature of tournaments. Is that, you know, like we said, just depends who gets the cards.
Yeah, and, you know, as much as we know and love him in, there was a lot of people on the chat who were like, one for the good guys.
He walks to the beat of his own drum for sure.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is Amin is not at all concerned about what we all think of his play. He has a very special brand of poker, but it is completely his own.
Yeah. But again, I think it was that more than anything that people just saw that it wasn't hardly a Chris Moneymaker, but just to see someone who, you know, an old guy who probably, you know, he looked like he probably
maybe his successes from outside of poker. You just never know.
Yeah, really good stuff. But again, you look around this table here, and these are guys
very
who do
familiar
spend
faces,
a lot.
aren't they?
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a lot of skill involved. You're not lucking out getting up here.
Yeah, like I said, maybe the toughest APT final table I've ever seen in all of my years of APT, and I've been here since the beginning, like as a player.
Yeah.
I've only just recently joined the team as part of the media guys, looking after the commentary booth with Harvey. But again, very happy to be here.
Has it been a bit of a culture shock to not be playing and watching all your people that
I talk about it with my family all the time. It is so strange to have a great job in an industry I absolutely love, and I'm very thankful to, you know, for all of the experience that has allowed me to, you know, find my way home to APT, because this is like a dream job for a poker player. I speak about it every stream. I'm sorry, guys, if you hear it all the time, but playing full-time is not the next chapter of my book. My next chapter is becoming a parent and doing the best job I can. That means spending time at home, not on the circuit. I'll just come, do my time, work, do a great job, go home. You know, like, I'm not going to be... You won't see me at... Unfortunately, you won't see me at APO this year. I'm not going to be travelling. I've already seen it all. I've done it all. I've been very fortunate in my time in poker, but this is my next chapter, and I'm so thankful that, you know,
Doesn't mean you're not allowed to miss playing.
No, no, for sure. I just mean that, like, this allows me to stay in the game and
absolutely.
still hang out with my friends and go to lunch when they've got a late start and, you know, still be a part of it, but I don't have the stress of the bankroll issues anymore. Like, if I play, it's, you know, when I've got time. It's not my whole focus anymore. Because, as a professional, you breathe it day in, day out. And for myself, I've been working really hard to improve, but I'm going to stop talking about myself.
All right, talk about this message in the chat then. Is that genuine?
No, Chingy is an absolute troll. So this is a very funny story. Anyone who knows Chingy will... Ace Queen, Ace King, Oscar Fong. The deck is his today. He has had so many good hands. And Ben will be aware that Oscar... Yeah, sorry. Jerome will be aware that Oscar will be 3-betting hands worse than Ace King because Jerome knows that Oscar is, you know, he's trying pretty hard to play well. You know,
This is a spot for Justin too, isn't it?
yes.
Out of the big blind.
It's... I'm not even going to make a comment because Justin is elite. I'm not sure what he's going to do. Yeah, that's what I mean. The discipline there to let go of Ace-Jack suited is crazy. Like, I mean, so many people would just call there. But, you know, he has a pretty good idea of the kind of hand that Jerome will be opening from this position, especially under the gun. Yeah, I think that's a perfect example of how patient it is to be an elite
And
player.
there you go, and a
right?
fold there of the
Like,
Ace Queen.
that's
Wow.
just high-level stuff.
Isn't it what?
You can't tell me we would have seen that in the flipper.
No. No.
Poor Glenn Maxwell. You know,
You know what?
Jackson Warren, these boys, they were gambling hard, but they just didn't have any luck the other day. I am, of course, referring to the fourth anniversary of the legend Shane Warne's passing. APT very, very happy to be, have such a positive relationship with the Warnes. The flipper event, great result. Lots of gambling, lots of having fun. You know, just in, as we all know, Shane loved the game and he was certainly plenty of fun around. So
You have some funds to the Shane Warne Foundation there.
Absolutely.
And we did learn that Glenn Maxwell plays poker the way he plays 2020 cricket. He just swings hard at everything. So
Yep. He's not folding ace 4-0 and I won't tell him how to play cricket. He, pocket threes for Jim. He's going to open. This will be a hand that Ben will be re-raising. Harvey. Well, I was going to ask Harvey what he would do, but Ben's going to proceed pretty carefully. Ben will proceed pretty carefully because, he's going to respect that Jim's opening from early position. Jim's probably got one of the worst hands he will have. Some of the more studied players will fold pocket threes from early position just because there are so many flops you just absolutely don't love. More often than not, unless there's a 3, you're going to be pretty scared.
And there's no 3.
Nope, no 3. So Ben just has to let it go. But we talk about implied odds. If there was to be a 3 on this flop and Jim had ace queen.
Well, hang on. He's not listening to you, Jim, because he's bet his 3s.
Yeah, I mean, Jim is his own man. So, sorry, the implied odds of... You might not be getting the best odds in the moment, but if you hit your hand, you're going to receive lots of chips. Reverse implied odds are almost the opposite. So if you hit your hand, you can lose lots of chips. Which is why we saw Justin fold the ace-jack earlier. Doesn't make a flush all that often, but sometimes he gets into a lot of trouble with an ace-off flop.
So Jim's bet out there. He's just backing the odds that Ben hasn't hit that flop.
Yeah. I mean,
and unfortunately he has. And not only just has, he's hit the top pair.
So the other thing that Jim's doing there is he's representing the range of hands that he's going to be doing. He's going to have lots of queens, kings queens, jacks in his hand. Unfortunately for Jim this time, Ben had it. It's just, it is what it is. But, it's just part of playing the game. Jim has to bet, Ben has to raise, Jim has to fold.
Is there any situation there where top pair just calls?
Yes, for sure. So, if there was another card that made a straight draw, like, for example, Jack 10-9, you would only call with you really want to tread carefully around those flops, because sometimes the turn just brings the flush card or the straight card, so pot control is very important, especially at these stack depths. So
now it's not going to hurt Jim that he raised with the threes there, because the next
great.
hand he gets jacks.
If it's not Jim, it's Oscar who's got a great hand. So the deeper we are, the more adventurous we can be with our play, but the shorter we are, the more patient and more deliberate we have to be. So that's why we often see players jamming or going all in with 8 or 9 big blinds, because, well, if you got a hand, call me. It is, but if you go all in, you never get bluffed off it. Guys, I tell you how passionate Harvey Silver is about this stream. It is his baby. He has asked one of our dealers to please go and sort something out for me. He's
just that thing in a shot that I don't like. There's another thing I don't like. Why is that pillow sitting there on that should be sitting up nicely?
Even I could tell you that.
And I'm not OCD. It's just...
Anyway, Harvey Silver's background, of course, in TV production, so he's our stream expert. Anything I try and do, I run past Harvey first. He is the man. I'm the poker guy. Harvey's the production guy. Harvey finding even more issues is pointing to me. So, look, I'm going to ask him to relax.
That's all right. So we're 20 minutes behind. In 20 minutes, you'll see, oh, hang on, all that crap in the background's been fixed up.
If you were wondering, that was Harvey. Billy does jam ace-queen offsuit.
And Jim.
Yeah, blind versus blind.
I'm not saying it.
Well,
I'm not saying it.
The commentator's curse is real. Neither player doing anything wrong. Just the variance of tournaments.
So if you've just joined us, we had a similar situation yesterday. It was ace-king, and I uttered the line, it's a terrible way to go out if 4 of the same suit come out.
Just about smacked you.
It's not going to
did
happen
it twice. Not once, but twice.
It's not going to happen
and
here.
That is, yeah. Anyway, we've decided we're not doing it anymore. And he's been good. I'll tell you what, he's been good.
Mate, there's no flush there. He had him going there.
Yes.
The dealer actually thought it was.
Look, our dealer's been doing some very long hours. Many of them degenerates and probably flicked off to ground after. But as we go, if you're just joining us, my name, of course, Liam Murray. I'm a former professional poker player. I have now found my home at the APT live stream. I'll be with you for the foreseeable future, and thankfully for me, I will always have my commentary partner, Mr. Harvey Silver, by my side. I'm very fortunate to have a talented network of friends, so we'll have plenty of friends joining us, but either Harvey or myself will be the ones looking after you.
If they've watched the stream, they'll be very familiar with my voice. And
yes, you are
my lack of knowledge of poker. No, I think I have a fair idea, but I will never comment on hands.
You are being very hard on yourself. I know.
I will never.
I have commentated with you. I think maybe about 18 months ago.
Yes.
You were leaps and bounds ahead of where you were then. So take the credit.
I've watched a lot of poker since.
If you didn't get better, it'd be like watching footy and not understanding it. You know what I mean? So, but before me, we've always had a talented commentator with you. So my job is to try and explain what's going on, and your job is to make it sound good.
Well, my job's probably to ask the questions and try and predict the play, because it's really interesting to be able to see this is what they will be thinking this is
Yeah.
what they'll probably be doing.
Yep. And sometimes you and I, we don't know. No one knows. And sometimes we're just completely blown away. Oh, ace 7-4. This is. Oh, actually, Cam's got nothing. He should be
Absolute
fine.
nothing.
But for Jim, he's probably going to try and play slow. Generally, a check is often a sign of weakness, so Cam might see that blind. No, Cam's too good. Sorry. This might get Cam in trouble. He does turn middle pair. Jim's not going to have too many aces because, of course, most of our aces would raise pre-flop. So we won't be too scared of that. I think Cam probably has to see one. Cam's hand doesn't contain a club, which means that Jim's hand could. So Jim might actually be betting with a flush draw or something like that. Which is...
Oh, wow.
Oh, yo.
Gee.
Poor Jim. It's an extremely dynamic river, though. So, like, the nuts changes... When we talk about the nuts, the very best hand. So now there's 950 different combinations of a full house. So Cam just has a flush. Sorry, has trips with no kicker. So he's going to proceed with caution because, he wants to tread carefully.
And, of course... Jim's two pair, it's now a
Been
completely
counterfeited,
different two
so,
pair. Yes,
yeah, it's just unfortunately for Jim, maybe I would have liked to have seen a check, but sometimes Cam just has 5-6 or something like that. So but anyway, yeah,
he's not calling
nice
it all
hand
in.
from Cam. One of the most talented dealers we have in APT is sitting with us in the commentary booth. That's a good jam, isn't it, Dan? Recognises his customer, knows them. Jay Smith asking, why did I stop playing? Mate, I've just had my second son, so my family's expanded, and my focus is, being a parent. So being home, being on the road, it's just not part of, my journey at the moment. I still love the game. I would love to be playing this for sure. I'm still working on the game in the background because I absolutely love poker, but, looking after my family and being home and being an active parent, because, parenting's my favourite thing in the world, is why I've stopped. So, and when I say stopped, I mean, I played the 2.5K. I haven't stopped completely, but yeah, I'm just not travelling as much. Like, I won't be doing the circuit, domestically like some of these other boys, like Nathaniel Hutton or Lachlan Crilly. So, two of my best mates who I used to travel with quite a lot, but they're welcome to come over for dinner whenever they're home. Always happy to cook any of my friends.
Trying to work out the technicals of if you made the final table of the 2.5K,
Yes.
giving you a headset at
Absolutely.
the table so you can commentate yourself.
I've often made jokes about if I just had a microphone helmet, I'd be right. No one would hear me, but you guys would. And I could commentate. It'd be a bit strange, though. But,
Ace-9, here it is.
yeah. Ace-9 in the small blind.
You've made me want people to see ace-9s and see how they play them
Yeah. Now, Cam, this is a good 3-bet jam candidate because his hand functions so well as a... If he wins it right now, that's where most of the EV comes, because when we say EV, expected value, so Cam right now can make a very big bluff and just go all in, and if Jim has a hand like pocket twos, he probably won't call. But if Jim had one of the better hands, like a hand like ace-10 suited or ace-jack or something like that,
he wouldn't have thought about it
he
that
wouldn't.
long.
He would just call straight away.
Yeah,
But
so
because
he's done the fold, he's listened to you.
Yes, good boy, Cam. Thank you for not 3-bet jamming into Jim, like I was describing. Anyway,
Because that's not the hand you want to go out in the tournament with, an ace-9,
this is a
it?
big opportunity. 100,000. There's not many lives that won't change. You know what I mean? Not many careers you can earn 100,000 in 2 years, maybe except Harvey Silver's.
Oh, no, I just do it all for fun now, mate.
You're a very passionate man and loving...
Did my hard work.
Yeah. It's funny, like, I often talk to the boys, like, anyone who whinges playing poker, I'm like, when was the last time you had to call in sick to your boss, mate? Like, stop whinging. Like, you're fine. When do you have to worry about, like, appreciate what we're doing? And for myself, this is one of the coolest jobs I could have. If I'm not playing poker, this is like the dream. And I know that, yeah, I'm very thankful for the opportunity and looking forward to the next 12 months of APT's plans, because for those in the know, we all know Tony's a dreamer. If we get half of what he's doing, it'll be extremely good for Australian poker. For those watching along at home, we're not sure if we'll be. I expect we'll probably be bagging, right? Like
I'm just waiting
No,
for
we're
a
not.
call
Okay,
now.
sorry.
We potentially are going through.
I think we might be pushing through. I'm not sure. Essentially, for player welfare, because these guys have been playing for so long, the consideration is, should we bag and come back for day 3? These guys are playing for some big money. You don't want to make a mistake after 14 hours of playing. So, you know, even after a 14-hour workday in a normal job, you're absolutely spent. You know, and these guys have been playing a high level of poker for many, many hours.
Yeah, so it's still
Contention.
Yeah, it's still contentious. It's, you know, there's a whole lot to organise to come back tomorrow.
Absolutely.
I
But
think
working
one of
hard
the
in the
things
background.
that might have been, you know, spoken about is these guys weren't expecting to play tomorrow. If there's a couple of guys who aren't available to come back,
Yeah,
that's
that's the
also
other
going
thing.
to be a.
Yep.
So this is happening in another room, these conversations. So we can't tell you
Yes.
that, you know, Oscar can't come back tomorrow, so it's not fair on him. We don't know
No,
all
of
this
course.
stuff, but we'll tell you as soon as we have a definite answer.
My intimate knowledge of this group of players is they are all able to come back tomorrow. They're all bums who play poker.
Yeah. And they may not be the only consideration. So
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
this-
Of course, staff, all of that stuff
Yeah.
as well. Jay Smith asking, is there more hours involved in playing rather than working? Jay, I have spent my whole life developing my personality, so I tell you, you know, to fit the mould of this job, it's taken me a long time to get there, but, you know, the elite poker players of the world, they, you know, it doesn't surprise me to hear that 10, 15 hours of study a week are being done, you know, lots and lots and lots of simulations in training. And, you know, the other thing is like these guys, they're happy to play till the end if they have to. They don't want to, but they're happy to, you know.
And is there more hours involved in playing than working?
Well,
geez,
I mean,
absolutely, there's
yes,
a lot more hours
absolutely,
in playing.
because these guys will play every event
Yeah.
possible, because that's what you do when you're on tour. You just flick it all. And if you-
I'm going to just clarify this because Mitch is asking the question. It's not the player's choice on whether they play or not. It's the APT. They'll ask the players.
Yeah, so-
But APT will make the decision ultimately, and I can confirm the decision, and the players are happy with this decision, mind you, is the decision has been made to play this through. They don't want to come back tomorrow.
all right.
So we are playing this through. Don't go anywhere.
So, Mitch, just to sort of give you like a bit of a rundown on what happens is they ask, and if, like, let's say one bloke has work at 8 in the morning, he's like, nah, I want to play through. And that's it. Then we play. But they offer, and it's, as a player, it's an extremely generous thing for APT to do. Someone has said no, though, so we'll carry on.
Well, I don't think they gave the players the option, to be
Oh, okay,
honest.
sorry.
I think they,
I understand.
I think they
I'm
went
with
in
you,
there
I'm
and
with you, I'm
said,
with
you know, what's
We've
your
decided,
feeling?
yeah,
And even if the players said, we all want to play through, and then there weren't enough dealers, or we
Yes,
couldn't,
yeah,
you know,
I
so I think they, but they obviously have a massive say.
Yeah,
in it.
of course.
And
If there was a lot of conjecture, I know that Tony's
Yeah.
like, I'll give you an example. The other night, I was playing a tournament, and I said to Tony, hey, mate, the structure, the whole room we weren't, like, the structure sort of was just a little bit too fast. I said to, hey, Tony, as the commentator, like, I know that everyone in the room saw the blind coming, and he just decided that for the good of the tournament and for everyone else's enjoyment, we just, you know, like, we just modified it. Like, these decisions are, you know, like that. You know, Tony's so passionate about the game that he just wants to give the best product possible. And I was having a chat with Nathaniel earlier. Nathaniel and I were both talking about how much improvement we've seen with APT in the last, 6, 12, 18 months. Like, it's strength to strength. And that is all thanks to everyone who works so hard behind the scenes.
I can tell you that if anyone's going to get frustrated in here with decisions and with the way things are done, it's going to be staff.
Yep.
It's going to be the venue. It's not going to be the players because everything's done for the players.
Yep.
And even though that might not seem to be the best way of doing it, it's all about keeping the players happy.
Yeah.
And and that's a reputation the Australian Open tennis has got as well.
Yes.
That the players love that, and there's a whole lot of people outside of it that don't. You're catering too much for the players. And in the end, if the players are happy, everyone else is happy.
Yes, of course. Billy, short enough that ace-9 offsuit. Look, I don't know about that, man. What's he got, 7 blinds?
It is the ace-9.
It's our favourite hand of this week, I swear. Queen 10 suited for Ben Richardson. Gonna pass. Ben would have called if Billy had raised, but can't call the jam. Shout out to my very good friend, Tom Maguire. Tom is one of the most talented poker players that I know, and I know some talented guys.
I have seen Tom finish at the very pointy end of very many tournaments.
The interesting thing about Tom is, as good as he is at poker, he actually was better at chess.
Yes, we had that conversation.
I said to Tom one day, I said, mate, if you had to tell me how good you were at chess, he said to me, Liam, with all the people you know in the world, you will likely never meet in your entire life anyone like. He's extremely humble, but he's being honest too. He's, and another one, another regular face we see on the streams many times is Charles Sy. So Charles Sy and Tom were very, very similar, but anyway.
It'd come as no surprise, would it, that if poker players did have a background in chess, that they would be very good at both games.
Yeah, for sure. So all of these extreme strategy games, like, it doesn't matter what you do. Some poker players, like Adam Carmen, you're familiar with Adam? Adam used to be a world-class FIFA PlayStation. The obsession, it doesn't matter what it is. If you have that type of personality, you're just going to be successful. And I often say to the guys who maybe they're frustrated with poker, if you applied this to anything else, how passionate and how much effort you put into it, you could go and do a law degree, whatever you wanted to do. Just like...
Well, that's exactly what you're seeing, because, people who are successful are doing exactly that.
Yeah. And, Ken Damalakian is often... Ken has extreme success outside of poker, but he's lucky enough to be very competitive in poker as well. He often gives us all heaps for not doing other things but poker, but there's so much poker. You can actually be so good, in comparison to the average person.
Liam, I'm going to assume that word just got out.
Yep.
That this is going right through, because we have just had a whole lot of people come in.
You know how many Hendon Mob? There was 3 million Hendon Mob at least coming up to watch the rail. Yeah. So
we're going to have a pretty full room in here shortly. Of course, we're 20 minutes behind on the stream, but we do see people come past our commentary area and into the rail, and it's going to be pretty full in there, which is great. They're serving drinks.
Absolutely.
It's a little bit of low music going on there. You're probably not getting that through the speaker, but it's really nice and fun up here.
The funny thing about a poker rail is all of the guys watching will truly appreciate the moment and not be too rowdy. They'll just be watching politely and quietly because they want to be respectful of their friends and the opportunity that their friends have to win all the money. You're not wrong, Trav. I did forget about Yida Chung. You may not have seen him too much recently, Harvey, but he, again, world-class chess player and, mate, one of, again, extremely talented poker player.
And the bloke telling you about him's not a bad poker player either.
Don't worry about that bloke. He's nothing. Just a luck box. Shout out to our very good friend Travis Endersby. Looking forward to seeing you at the Aussie Millions, mate. It is always a pleasure to catch up and hear about how the kids are going. Travis and I have had many conversations about the lifestyle of a poker parent. Most of these guys are all rat bags and don't have any yet, but that's not me. I've got two. Jim, of course, very proud parent as well. I've had many a conversation with Jim. Oscar, of course, is a kid himself, so that's not a thing. Yeah, just a little bit more about Oscar. He spent a lot of time in Melbourne, but he's just recently relocated home to Malaysia, and he's here just having a catch up and playing the. I think he's pretty at home between the $400 and sort of $1,000 buy-in, so he's playing a few different events over the next week, but just mainly here to catch up and see some friends. Ace-Jack offsuit for Jerome in the hijack. He will be opening this one. Billy Hun in the cutoff. Probably going to be, I don't know. It's hard. It's right on the cusp. I think I'd like to see Billy fold, just because Jerome knows his... No. All right, ram him in. Oscar and I... Oscar has the best mullet you've ever seen. When I grow up, I want Oscar's mullet. Travis Endersby, you could also have that hair.
Oh my god, this was the hat.
Don't worry about that. You didn't hear it. We're 20 minutes behind, right?
Well, we can tell people what happened. The boys are going on a break in 20 minutes.
Yeah, of course. But what we'd like the boys to do is, if you're going to come over, don't do what. Anyway.
Well, it'll be a story we'll tell you about at some other stage.
When you're older, Oscar, I'll tell you all about it, you little rat bag.
So,
pocket fives, pocket queens, they do find their way into the middle. Our friend Oscar is going to need to fade a 5. 6-9 deuce. There it is. You know what? I almost predicted that.
I think from the noise that was being made. So, all right, we might as well tell them. The boys have come out. It's a break coming up. There'll be a break in 20 minutes on the stream. But the boys they have to come past our commentary area and they see the screen because it's sort of far facing them.
If you and I weren't so friendly, they would not talk to us as much as they do.
That's right. And so
we need to be less inviting.
They just came out and Oscar saw that was the hands.
I remember being 21 and silly.
Look, he could have come out and been watching that on his phone.
Absolutely.
So it really made no
different, but yeah, that's a very fun
moment. You do realise now, and we do realise, which is great, that there is a break in 20 minutes. So we're going to actually hop out of here in 20 minutes and
go and grab a drink or something.
Grab a drink at least.
Yep.
Yeah. I think there's been a Macca's run.
Yeah.
So
late at night, that's about all we can do.
Pretty unfortunate there for Oscar. He could have had a knockout very easily.
Yep. It is what it is, though. Just
So all in.
Yep.
An ace-3.
Quite a simple decision for Justin. Ace-3 suited to 6 big blinds. It's probably going to be just good enough. The interesting thing about Justin is he does have the discipline that if this was Ace-3 offsuit, he wouldn't do it. He just got enough with the extra suited that he would pass it. But extra suited bit just makes it a little bit better. Anyway,
So we have no idea what Jerome's got because I haven't hasn't put his cards down on the reader. So at the moment we're playing this one blind with Jerome.
Yes. Harvey, does this board favour Jerome?
No.
No. You tried telling me you don't know anything about poker. 18 months ago you might not have known that. Now you do. Let's go, Harvey. 12 months later, Harvey's a poker pro because he's been commentating with me. Let's go.
Online run out, yeah. Standard online run out.
As if my treatment couldn't get better, I just found that Tony's going to take us all to dinner tomorrow night. So, mate, you want to talk about getting looked after, Harvey?
You might.
There's not many bosses like that.
No, that's very true.
And
you might not be eating much though, because you might be asleep at the table.
I'll tell you what, it's been a big week. Big week of many restless nights. Always hard being away from home, especially when times get tough. For sure. But we grind. We put on a brave face and tackle the world.
So Oscar, here, taking what seems an inordinate amount of time.
Yeah, look, Oscar's... I had a bit of a... I really like Oscar. We get along very well. I'm kind of like a bit of an older brother to some of these boys because, you know, we've been around for a while. I just said to Oscar, don't do anything silly. Be patient. He has a bit of a. Yeah. See, this is a. I don't know if I do it, but
It's
anyway.
a lot too.
Yes. It's just a big old bluff. King 7 offsuit. Yeah, just not a good hand. You definitely want to wait till.
6 more minutes.
Like Jerome is probably see
Yeah,
like
wow.
that's the kind of stuff I told you to stop doing, Oscar. Anyway, so you can't blame him. He's so young and excitable.
Oh, hello.
Anyway, what I was saying.
Yeah, what were you
that-
saying?
What I was saying is Oscar's opponents are going to call if they are mathematically correct. Like King 7 offsuit, mate. Pick a hand with more equity, you naughty boy. I told you. King 7 suited, no more bluffing. Anyway, I'm joking. Play as you are, my friend. Bit of an older brother figure to some of these younger boys. They absolute rat bags, a lot of them, but Oscar's a good kid, so I want to see him do well.
And I will tell you, Liam was not talking to the screen there. Oscar was in the vicinity.
Oscar was behind the screen, and I was telling him off for doing it because I specifically told him, do not do that. You know, and he, of course, did, like a naughty little kid.
And he walked away with his head bowed and said, yes, sir.
Harvey, I remember a conversation, you know, Chris Dipper Zenanos from Brisbane.
Of course.
Very successful outside of the poker, but incredibly successful in poker. But Dipper just saw me bluff it off, ridiculous bluff. And he had a conversation with me one day, and he said, mate, I like you enough to tell you to just stop doing that. And I reckon that conversation alone, Harvey, probably made me about 150 grand. Because if someone is kind enough to give you some advice who's had more success than you in the game, sometimes it's just really good to listen. You know, like in the same way that if you're starting a business, you ask a friend who's got business experience how to do it. You know, if someone's been there and done that in poker, take the advice.
Dipper won a tournament at the
Mate,
Southport Sharks.
Every week he does it.
Well, one of our APT tournaments, and he said, I'm taking you out. We got in a car and we drove
got
into
a beautiful car as well.
We drove into Surface, and the only thing open was the kebab shop on the corner.
Nothing
there
worse
in
There
Broad
is
Beach.
Nothing worse than the food around South.
But that's what we did. He took us
I know.
out and we had a kebab.
I mean, Dipper's the kind of bloke that will take you 20 minutes so you don't have to eat a dodgy kebab.
There's nothing else open.
Yeah,
It was a
I know,
Wednesday
it's
night or
just-
something.
yeah. The Gold Coast, just slightly better than the Sunshine Coast. Every restaurant closes at 7 on the Sunshine Coast. I don't know if anyone...
Oh, I do love it though. I just came
mate,
back from
I grew up
Noosa,
there.
love
My
it.
parents live in Palmwoods. I just don't think it's a young, you know, it's not a town for me. Like, it's a great place for my family. My parents, great place to grow up, but my life revolves around Brisbane.
Well, I'll tell you, we was up there for a break and went out for dinner. And we thought that was it. We're driving back.
Yep.
And it's Noosa Junction piano night
Yep.
on the Wednesday
Yeah,
night.
yeah.
I thought this could be fun. So going with my
Mate,
girlfriend. There's 4
Hastings.
people. There's 4 people in there. And the girl's setting it up. And she comes over and she goes, you ready? I was like, ready for what? Are you ready for the backpackers? And at 10 o'clock, 3
Yeah,
buses of
I'm very
backpackers
familiar with
rocked up. And the whole Western Bulldogs football team as well.
Yep.
And it was a raucous night. And it was Kylie, she's a very well-known piano, dueling pianos girl, Kylie. And it changed my opinion of Noosa a little bit because I also thought it was pretty sort of quiet and older, and geez, it was nuts that night.
Mate, I grew up playing Sunshine Coast rugby, so I played for the Nambour Toads.
Yeah.
A bit of a, we're a battling team. The Noosa Dolphins were the team to beat always for years and years and years. There were many nights we went out in Hastings Street in Noosa, and it was just packed. If you've ever been out in Noosa, you'll know exactly what I mean. It's the place to be. If you're not in the Lullaby, you're definitely in Noosa. It's a beautiful spot.
But, people say it's like God's waiting room. I didn't find it like that.
Mate,
I
full of
enjoyed it.
studios. They're not my people, the Dolphins. Bloody Dolphins.
Tony Hashim's just sat down next to me and heartily congratulated me on Collingwood's win tonight. He's really happy with that. Do you know what he was happy about? He was happy that the Carlton recruits played like crap. So, no, they didn't actually. DeConing was very good. Jack Silvani's pretty ordinary.
How did Liam Ryan go?
Liam Ryan was all right.
Tony and... You guys want to chat about the footy?
Yeah, we
All right.
very important.
Okay.
Tony's a mad Carlton supporter. Carlton supporters hate Collingwood supporters.
Well, I don't bloody understand your game. Let's talk about the Broncos. Does anyone want to talk about the Broncos?
We could talk about the Storm. I watched them the other night. They had more than an AFL score, the Storm, the other night.
That is true. The Storm, it is just a factory of talent.
Isn't it incredible?
Rugby league didn't start out as a powerhouse game in Melbourne. I mean, the Storm are so good that you cannot not support them.
Is he the best coach of any professional team in the
Craig,
world?
Craig Bellamy.
In the world?
You got to put him up there, right?
Yeah.
The other really important or impressive sort of figure in rugby league is Phil Gould, who orchestrated the Panthers dynasty, and now he's with Canterbury, and Canterbury building their own thing. So it is all about the the team running the show, exactly like APT. Very thankful to have our fearless leader, Tony Hash.
It's Ace Jack against Jack 10, and there's a Jack out there, of course.
Yes, Ace Jack, Jack 10, reverse implied odds. See what I mean? Jim might get himself in some trouble here playing a weaker range of hands than Jerome. But we'll see. Jerome has a very interesting combination of hands. So Jerome has that ace of spades, which means he can start bluffing if the spade comes. The turn is a king. Now Jim is in a world of hurt. If the river is red, Jerome could bet quite big, and Jim might just call. But Jim will probably slow down. Yes, he does. 4 of spades. Nope, deuce of hearts. Jerome is talented enough to put Jim on a hand like he has. He may extract some value or just play it safe and check. I'm not sure. Neither would surprise me. Jim will also recognise that the spade draw missed. So he's maybe got a good bluff catcher. And this is the excellence of Jerome. He's going to... Oh, no, he's just going to value bet. I thought he was bringing out the big stack of blues.
So, in that next or last level, they've actually added a 500k
Yes,
chip.
we do have an introduction of another chip.
Yeah, so that's that bigger chip that he just put out there.
Yes. Oh, God. No, nope, sorry. He said call. I thought he said all in, and then I was going to talk... Yeah. Anyway, nothing surprises me with Jim.
Surprised he called?
Nah, I don't think so. He had quite so when we think about hands that are bluff catchers, so Jim's hand didn't contain a spade, and he did have. So Jerome can have spades. Anyway, I won't get too far into it.
And he's got a big stack too.
Yes,
I mean, it wasn't a big percentage of his stack to call that.
Jim Andriatis is not a man to bluff when he has chips. I tell you what. The amount of times I've tried and failed, and Jim's just called me down with middle pair or something, just because he has an inkling that I was up to no good. And as many of you know, I am often up to no good. Jay Smith, there's a lot of money up top. That's why. Anyway, I'm not going to entertain you calling these people nits because they are timed aggression. There's not a single one of them that are nits.
We've got a hand or two after this, and we're going to go on a 15-minute break.
What a night we're in for, mate.
Yeah, long night we're in
Yes,
for, but it's
we
going
are.
to be fun towards the end.
I might go sneak up for a shower, refresh myself. That is one of the best ways to wake yourself up. For those of you that it is your first day on Earth. The beauty of staying here on site is it means I can do things like that, which is cool, especially with these long days. It sometimes makes the difference between a tolerable day and a tough one. King 7 suited for Cam on the button is quite short. This might be enough of a... Anyway, Jay, whatever, mate.
If he knew...
If he knew that Jerome was as weak as he is, then he might. Jerome is not often going to be as weak as Queen on off. He often plays a good range of hands because that's the easiest way to play poker. The more often the better hand you play, the less time you know. Anyway. Ben Richardson with a gut shot against Jerome. Jerome now with top pair. Jerome has an important card, the 9 of hearts. It does block some of the straight draws. So, for example, a 6-7. Jerome's 9 is important. Also for a Jack 10, his 9 is important. Not that it's so significant, but just removing that one extra card is can sometimes mean the difference between checking and betting. Jerome and Ben, extremely experienced. Turn is a deuce. Ben comes from, a school of poker from 15 years ago when he was a crusher. He was GTO before GTO, but Jerome is a cash game wizard who now plays lots of tournaments as well. As is Justin Sweet, one of Nelson Dong's best mates.
Jeez, we've seen Nelson on a few final tables.
Mate, haven't we ever? You know what? He's so frustrating to lose to because he's so hard to dislike. Imagine being that good at poker and such a friendly fella. I think we're going to go on a break, guys. About 15 minutes. Harvey, I'll see you in 15 or 18 minutes or 19 minutes, however long my shower takes.
All right, mate. Dry yourself off well.
All right. See you soon, guys. See you back in 15.
200. Seat 9 fold. Seat 9 fold. Sorry. Seat 1 folds. Seat 2 raises 400,000. Seat 3 folds. Seat 4 folds. Seat 5 folds.
So, first hand back after a 15-minute break. Harvey Silver with you here. Liam Murray will be rejoining me soon
Seat 7.
as we keep playing down to a winner here for the main event. Australian Poker Tour Melbourne Swing. Jim flopping 2 pair. Justin with not very much. And he will fold, and Jim takes another 700k and adds that to his nice stack of 4,750,000. Jerome on top, 27 big blinds. Confirmation, everyone, that we will be playing through. There was a chance that we were going to bag tonight and come back tomorrow, but I think everyone has pretty much unanimously decided, let's get this done. Players, of course, are tired, but I think they've agreed that they'd prefer to finish tonight rather than come back. We've also got dealers and TDs, and then there's the bump out that people forget about. We've got to get everything out of here, so that means it can't be done in the morning if we play again tomorrow afternoon. So that's what's happening. Good news for you guys, because if you got some insomnia going, or if you're on the other side of the world, even if you're in Perth, which is sort of the other side of the world from here, you've got another, I reckon, another couple of hours of poker. Maybe not quite. I think if this sort of plays reasonably regulation, people are thinking around perhaps the 4:15 mark, which will be about 4:30 on the stream, as Cameron bets his ace jack.
Seat 4 folds. Seat 5 folds. The 4 of clubs is exposed. 800.
Justin on the small blind with a king 10. He's very short, Justin. He's already got his small blind in. He's probably going to feel that. I'm quite sure what he really is going to be waiting for there, but a king 10 is not good enough. So Cam takes the blinds. Justin now with 400k, 2 big blinds, and important, no, it's not a lot of chips, pretty important for Cam there, as he takes his stack to over $1 million. Keep messaging us on the chat there, as Trav has. Thanks, mate. We're we're fading here, but I know that we'll get a second wind as we get down to 4 and 3-handed, and then obviously heads up. So hopefully not too far away. We've got a couple of guys there very short. They're going to need to find some hands, or they're going to find themselves leaving.
Seat 3 folds. Seat 4 folds. Seat 5 folds.
Justin will put it all in on the blind with his Queen 8. I think Jerome is going to think that King 10 is a really easy call here.
Seat 9 announces all in.
He goes all in and Billy gets out of the way. So it's Jerome with
We have
plenty of
Queen 8
chips.
hearts for seat 7.
Our
Queen 8 of
chip
hearts
leader
for 7. King
up against Justin, who
for seat 9.
is all in with
Queen
his
8 at
suited Queen 8.
Good luck, gentlemen.
There is a queen. However, there is a straight draw to pair,
Queen 8.
and the 2 pair holds, and that means that Justin stays in the event. He's got 6 big blinds now, 1.2 mil. There, you can see in the foreground some of a pretty extensive rail that's up here in the early hours of the morning.
What's it called? You didn't put it back. So you only get 400k. It's all good. All good. Double check is okay. Okay. Next stand we have 1, 2, 2.
So 293 runners in this main event here in Melbourne. Great numbers. It's given us a prize up top of 100k even. Plenty of reason for these guys to stay awake, keep their energy going. They've been playing for a long time today. It's probably starting to become a test of your attrition and your staying power as much as your poker nous and ability. Justin in the cutoff here, ace 9. We've spoken about that hand so many times.
1,200,000.
He's all in.
7 is all in. Seat 9 folds. Seat 1 folds.
And Jim has the same hand, the ace 9, the big blind. Yeah, for Jim, this is about a quarter of his stack.
Seat 2 calls.
He does call, and I think
9, ace 9.
they're going to be pretty relieved.
Two calls with ace 9 0. And seat
This is
7.
going to be a split more often than not. I don't have Liam next to me, so I'm not going to talk about the flush possibilities. 1 spade. And it will be a split.
Alright, ace 9. Very good. Chop it up now. I got 24, please. Thank you. There you go.
Hope you've enjoyed the stream this week. We have done
Button's good.
4 pretty late nights, starting on Thursday with the flipper. No, Friday was the flipper, sorry. We had the mixed stakes. That was a great watch. And finished up heads up with 2 very, very different types of players. Very old school, older fella. Probably wasn't given much chance when he sat down on the table with some very cluey and experienced poker pros, led by Amin, who looked like he had it all over. And in the end, incredible comeback. And was a win for the old school players. It's great to see. Oscar under the gun here. Jack 9 got a bit of a dressing down during the break from Liam for getting a bit loose with a King 7. And looks like he's taken the advice, folding the Jack 9 suited. Comes around to Ben here with an Ace 10. He'll also fold, disciplined fold there, Justin. Jerome is out, gets around to Billy here. Ace 2 suited. Billy also less than 10 big blinds. He may feel this is a position with just the 2 blinds behind him. So he takes the opportunity. It is an all-in. And we get down to Cam, and this is going to be interesting here. Cam with pocket 6s. Cam slightly less than Billy, so he is going to be the one at risk if he calls here. It's probably hard to give this up. A pocket pair to start with. He goes for a time bank. You're thinking you're probably in a flip here. More than likely you're in a flip. It's just whether he wants to flip for his tournament. He does.
C3 calls.
Come on. 6s. Ooh.
Okay, we have.
So it's pocket 6s
Hearts for seat 1.
against the Ace 2 suited.
For seat 3. With pocket 6s at risk.
So Cam
No.
is the one at risk.
Pocket 6s at risk. Good luck, guys.
Ace straight off the bat. And that is going to be the end of Cam. Well played. Finishes in 7th position, takes 14K. We are down to 6.
We've lost seat 3.
A lot now, man. Just count. I don't know. Okay. 2 million, 2.5, 3 million. 15. 15. Oh my god. But the average is like 6.
So we've got a sort of a top of the ladder and bottom of the ladder situation happening here. Justin, Oscar, pretty short now. 7 big blinds each. We've got Ben and Billy sort of in the middle of that ladder. $13 big blinds, Jim and Jerome with 23 big blinds. 6 players left.
Seat 7 folds, seat 9 folds, 200,000.
Go to Billy. Billy's not a big fan of putting his cards in the card reader. It's a bit hard when he's got his chips in the card reader. So we're going to be playing him blind.
Seat 4 fold.
Probably the best hand of
Button moves. Button is now dead.
We're not done. We're not done.
I'm just gonna scan my card.
Folds. 200,000. Seed 4 folds. Oh my god.
Walk.
Our biggest card is your smallest card. Snap fold.
On the ride in the morning, Dom? Huh? Yeah, do like that. All right, we have a drink. Yeah.
950.
I think that's a
Yeah, 1.15.
I think that's a smart call, Dom.
Sorry.
You went for a good almost. And obviously you got too much left to do it. Balancing and all that shit for real and no
Seed 9 folds.
You know you're at the back end of a tournament when you get a Macca's delivery at 3 in the morning. That's what's just arrived.
Seed 2 folds.
Matty all of a sudden has a smile on his face. He's looking pretty grumpy, but give him a little bit of salt and rubbish food and he's ready to go again.
I'll be back here at about 10. No, I'll be back here at 10. Go check out. What's going on?
4 folds.
I'm gonna bump out. Nobody's coming back. No, they're gonna play it till the end.
Raise.
So Ben taking the opportunity out of the small blind with the King 3. Justin has in fact woken up
1.1 million.
with jacks. And just didn't think he put enough in there.
We even discussed it.
Alright.
Bring the 1.1 in.
You can still fold.
Alright. So 1.
You can fold.
1.1.
Tuesday morning or something.
1.1. And a call. 1.1 and a call, guys. There's still action.
We don't need to be there either. No. I fly in, I'll
See the flop.
What is this hand?
It's a little bit weird what's happened here. Ben's King 3 up against Justin's jacks, and it wasn't an all in. Justin's still got. What's he got? You know, he's got a third of a big blind behind him, and he's checked. It's another 7. This is really weird. Okay, so
All in with 50,000.
50,000 more. And they're having a laugh. He's thinking about it. Ben, am I going to put another 50k in here? What do you think? Come on.
6%.
He finally decides to flick in 2 blue
We
chips.
have King 3 versus
He's going to see that
Jacks.
he is
Oh, surprise!
behind. He needs one of the 3 kings. Otherwise, Justin will survive, and he does survive.
Counterfeit.
Counterfeited, yeah.
Alright.
If anyone wants to explain what happened there, I'll gladly listen.
Yeah, I had to click something in a sec. I'm like, wait, I think you have just.
We even discussed it before.
I know, I said 1.15. Yeah, no matter 1.1.
You knew he had one.
I asked him before the cards had done us why
How much you
to
playing?
confirm what he had.
So you knew he had 150.
Well, I knew at that point. I didn't know what I bet because I completely forgot because I'm half asleep. I mean, I just grabbed chips and put it in there, didn't I? Yeah, that's what it is.
Alright. Oh.
All All right, got a bit of an explanation there, which basically could be summed up with, I was half asleep.
You'd have to accept that.
Fold from seat 1, and seat 2 folds also.
Oscar. Ace Jack. Diamonds. And it's going to be
Seat 4 moves all
everything.
in. Seat 5 fold. No. It is 900,000.
We get back around. It's another 9.
We have a call.
So it's 900,000 total.
Pocket 4s.
And pocket 4s
Seat 9 has called.
is Jerome. So the two short stacks here going up against each other. It's the Ace Jack at risk. Oh, wow. Wow. So the 5s and the kings with the ace. And we do not have a knockout.
Two pair, king, 5s, ace kicker.
Let's go, Oscar. Come on. Let's go, lad.
Think you got a new deal? Alright guys, Adam is back. I was waiting for this dealer to play. Flop set wood.
This guy, casual, part-time Rob Donaghy.
We're just playing like. Yeah, we're still 50 back to average.
Liam joins me again in the box, and Liam, we've had a
Haven't we
series
had
of
some
all-ins, and people surviving by the skin of their teeth.
As tournaments often do. Have we lost anyone since
We
the break?
have.
Who did we lose?
You're going to ask me that.
Was it a min?
No. It was...
Jim Andriatis with aces under the gun.
It was Cam.
Okay, Cam Lawless. GG, Cam. Nice run, bro. Oscar letting go of the Queen 7 off. As we were talking about, Harvey, poor Justin. Like, there's nothing he can do other than tournaments. They're so difficult because the best way for Justin's hand to play this is aggressively. He's just going to run into aces. Yeah.
Well, this is, just one of those caller situations, isn't it?
And that's what we talk about, is that sometimes it just comes down to who gets the best hand. And all of these guys play exceptionally well. And then sometimes luck comes into it. But he's not dead yet. He just needs to make a straight or a flush.
He's way not dead.
3 kings. It's not as good as we would usually expect, but he still will win this one 1 in 8 times. 8-8-6. GG, Justin. Another deep run, my friend.
Well done, mate. First hand, you've got someone eliminated. You're taking over from me.
We're nailing it. That's a good strike rate. Can we get 5 in 5? Oh, Harvey. It's been a pleasure working with you this series. I'm looking forward to the next one at APT Eaton's Hill in April. Find us on Facebook at APT Live for all of the information. In the next couple of days, we will be releasing the schedule. Tony and I were discussing some of the changes, and I think you guys are all going to be pretty happy. I think I heard inklings of some mixed games.
Yeah, we love that. And
the mixed games regs are obsessed. So people like Simon Shaheen, Dan Mayo, we expect them all there. Simon, very, very familiar with the stream tables. He's a very talented No Limit Hold'em player as well. Young Oscar Fong folding the 8-4 suited. Good boy.
The schedule's still being worked out, but we
Yes.
know the dates. It's
We do.
Mid-April.
Is it April 12th through to
Sounds about
17th?
right to me.
19th?
Sounds about right to me. Thursday's the 16th. So, yeah, that'll be right.
Jim Andriatis getting after it. Queen 7 offsuit in the big blind. Good enough for a raise with his chip lead. Billy, unfortunately, not going to be able to do anything here. Although he would love to, he's not able to see a flop. Nice hand, Jim. Well played. Like I said earlier, Jim has some moves.
As we normally do at this stage, Liam,
Yes.
I'm going to ask you for your prediction. With
Oh.
5 left. I know it's hard for you because you know all these guys very well,
Yeah,
but
I do. Look,
it's just more the
I'm going to
feeling.
back Jim in.
Okay.
I think I have a very good feeling about Jim.
I reckon maybe your young Oscar Fong has listened to your
The
advice.
Malaysian crusher.
He's a little bit short here, but why don't you go
He's
for
a
the
big boy.
Why don't you go for the big stack, and I'll go for basically the small stack, and we'll
Look,
see who comes
Jim
out on
is
top.
Jim is the. I'd love to see Jim get a title because he truly a true gentleman of the game, and just loves it and plays for the passion.
He's probably another one, Jim, who isn't having maths going around in his head. I wouldn't have thought.
You might think that, but I truly think Jim has, I know that with his improvement, he has, look, last 18 months there's been a real change in Jim's game, so whatever has happened has definitely been working out for him.
Okay.
He's a wily cat, that's for sure. Oscar Fong up to no good, as always. This kid will overdo it all the time. What a naughty boy.
Picked a good time, though.
He did. Jim having probably one of the worst hands he will be raising here. Of course, that is why Oscar has gone all in. The king high is enough. Yeah, and he does steal it.
There we go. Come on,
Like
Oscar.
a burglar. In through the window, out through the door.
My pick.
Well, some precious chips for Oscar. Back to 13 bigs. Oscar, of course, a regular in the online poker scene in the GG world. He's very, very used to playing short stack poker. Most of the big tournaments on GG, you end up with 10 to 15 bigs.
Right.
So, being based in Malaysia, he is, completely able to do all of that. So, unfortunately for us in Australia, we all have to travel in New Zealand. So, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Jerome Tan with King 9 suited under the gun. Definitely going to be good enough for an open.
Without labouring that point, how stupid is it, honestly?
Mate, you know what? If I wanted to bet on 19 different types of footy, I could. Anyway.
Yeah, but we all know that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, we all know that.
There's a pokey in every corner of Australia, and somehow, you know what I mean.
Yep, we all know what you mean.
Yes.
We all think it's ridiculous.
Absolutely. Jim Andriatis, an absolute card rack at the moment. Pocket Kings. It's lovely to see some positive variance for Jim. Jerome going to get out of the way. King 9 definitely an open, but won't be calling.
And more chips for the
Yes.
chip leader.
Yep. Which is really, really important at this time because the shorter these other guys get, the more gambling Jim can do. So, for example, he doesn't need a great hand. If Ben happens to go all in on his big line, he can just call and gamble because he's got so many chips and such a big chip lead. So, yeah, they've got an uphill battle. Jim is definitely someone who loves all the chips, so he's going to keep the pressure on.
So this is directly opposite to what we had the other night where we were saying no one's getting a big chip lead, so they can't bully the table.
Exactly.
And it just went round and round and round. So potentially, if Jim plays this the way you're talking, this could start to get quicker.
I would love to see Jim just start, like, for example, jamming.
Yep.
Like, not raising, just starting to collect those blinds. A hand like this, he can probably just go all in there. And what are they going to do? What are they going to do? They can't call because, like, there's, you know, like, it's a really tough spot. Because all of these guys will be thinking of the pay jumps and they'll be thinking of the ICM considerations as we we like to discuss. And if Jim just starts going all in, good luck, boys.
Yeah.
Good luck calling with pocket sixes and run it against ace jack. Like, you know, like if you find pocket eights, let's gamble. Jim's going to win, you know, plenty of times. Anyway, see how he proceeds. Chip leader versus some short stacks is a delicate game. You don't want to double them, but you also want to take some chances and swing for the fences.
I mean, he's, you know, virtually got half the chips on the table.
He does. The shorter everyone else gets, the more gambling there is, though. So he just needs to be. If he can bust one of them in the next 30 or 40 minutes, they're going to have a pretty tough time.
I had a feeling that it's going to be quicker than that. Not that I know, but it just
No, of
feels
course.
like it's going to be. I think Jim's already shown that's the way he's going to play.
Of course. The interesting thing for Harvey and I in the booth, like, we're quite close to the feature table, but we've got so much going on to watch. Even if we could see, we're so focused on this that, you know.
Yeah. We're just positioned in a way that we
Yeah.
can't. We can see
Of
through.
course.
We can see that they're
Yes.
playing, but we can't
Yeah, for
see
sure.
anything
But
else.
for us, we can't see the table, any of the actions, whatever. But sometimes you'll see us in the background, but, you know, we're not. Anyway.
So
Oscar under the gun.
Your
My pick in the big blind.
Yes.
Your pick under the gun.
yes. And Ben's pretty short here now too.
Yeah, look, this will be
And
an
here
all-in
is-
hand for
yeah.
Ben. The players behind Ben will definitely know that he's jamming correctly. So he's jamming the correct type of range of hands. Ace King is going to be at the top. Jim, this is a good example. Jim's going to win 1 in 3 if he calls with Queen 8 against Ace King. He just folds, keeps him short, wants to keep some chips, but, you know, eventually Jim's going to get dealt an ace himself or a pair. So, you know, there'll be plenty of times where...
And he potentially knows that's a correct
Yeah, for sure.
jam from
Absolutely.
Ben as well.
Yep, definitely. Harvey and I watching some of the future high stakes regs. I reckon they've all probably tried to jump into the main event, especially that Ash one's in his pocket nines. I'm going to tell you what happened. Ash and I were playing the Goliath. He'll love to hear this. He thinks it's hilarious that he'd been beat. Mate, I'll tell you what, everyone been me for 3 years. That's why I'm here. So, 366, Ash opens. A player I'm not familiar with calls. And I 3-bet pocket 10s. And Ash 4-bet jams 35 big blinds with pocket 9s. Good luck calling with 10s, Liam. See you later. Get out of here, Ash, you little rascal. Be nice to the Rex. Anyway, King Queen offsuit for Ben. Bit of commotion.
I'll tell you something else about the future of high stakes players. They don't know how to close doors behind them. So
Oh, mate. I don't know if you've ever stayed in a poker. You probably haven't, Harvey, but some of these boys, they need a touring mum with them.
oh, I'm sure.
I reckon Oscar Fong's a tidy boy.
Come on, Oscar.
Ace King suited. Harvey's pick. What do we reckon, Harvey? You going to raise or will he go all in with 10
I
big
think
blinds?
he's going to jam.
Yeah. Good play.
He's not going to jam.
No.
I reckon he's going to...
Is he going to call and try and trap? That would be a
He's going to
sneaky
3-bet it.
thing
He's
to
going to
do.
3-bet it.
Oscar's got some moves.
I'll tell you why he's not jamming it, because I reckon he would have jammed it straight away. He's 500?
Interesting thing,
400.
Harvey is one of the things that we really try and focus on as we develop our poker game is try and do everything in the same time to give our opponents less information. Some things that happen as recreationals is sometimes when we bet in a different way if we're bluffing or have a value hand. So we really need to simplify things and give our opponents less information. The higher the stakes you get, the better the players are. That's often like why, for example, a Triton event, you'll see someone wearing sunglasses, a hat, a scarf, because they just want to not give anyone anything. So anyway, I don't know if you all know that, but I thought it was interesting.
I also hear Triton puts the air conditioning up very high, so that would be another reason that.
In February of last year, I was lucky enough to travel to the Poker Dream series in South Korea. My mum made sure I was definitely not going to North. She said, for sure. Anyway, so Poker Dream was leading into Triton, so it was such an elaborate setup. It was crazy. I reckon there must have been. You know how there's one Matty Marshall and he is our king? Triton have got like 20 people running their stream, so don't tell Matty Marshall that.
Yeah.
Nah, we're very thankful to have him.
Being in production, mate, is
It's
almost
often a thankless task.
Then there's also a cartel going on there. Often everyone's keeping everyone else in work. There's a lot
Yes,
of ways you
for
can do
sure.
stuff
Of
far
course.
more efficiently, and we do it incredibly efficiently. I don't know if everyone knows how this works, but you watch this stuff, and you think to yourself, how many people are running the actual graphics, the cameras, the chip counts, the electronics of it, the audio, and in fact, what's happening here is it's the software doing it all for us. So
Yes.
the only thing that's being inputted here live is the betting. So we have a microphone on the dealer. Our producer is putting what he's hearing the dealer say into a laptop, and it's coming up on the graphics. Even the cameras are automated, so the cameras know where the action is, follow the action around.
Pocket tens. Can you see an all in? King 9-0.
Bit of support in the room.
Yeah, some of these guys left in the room are very, very popular among the scene. Jerome Tan, of course, a legend in the Melbourne cash game scene. Ben Richardson, probably one of the best poker players to come out of Tasmania. He was last season's APT State of Origin captain for the Tasmania team. Young Oscar Fong has pocket queens under the gun. Wow, how will he play it? Will he raise or will he go all in? He's only got 12 bigs.
Raise.
Yes. Why do we raise and not go all in? Because it allows other players with worse hands than we have to go all in. Whereas if we went all in, maybe they fold those. A hand like pocket eights, maybe someone would re-raise all in over that, but they would always fold when we go all in for 12. So it's a little bit of the strategy behind.
So Ben then has
Yes.
a hand.
Yeah, this is a perfect example. Ben probably realises Oscar is opening maybe more hands than he should be because he's, that way. No, Ben's so disciplined. Ben having an
Now Jerome.
Anyway, let's watch. See what happens. Jerome knows quite a bit about Oscar. He knows that Ace-10 is definitely smashing a lot of Oscar's opens. Not queens, though. Again, Jerome making me look like a fool. Ace-9-0 for Billy. We have seen him definitely going all in more often than other players. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays the Ace-9-0. I think this is actually Winston Tan's brother. I believe. If anyone can confirm that in the commentary.
I don't think he's playing.
Actually, may not be true. I think Winston. Yeah. Anyway, I'll leave it there before
He's the
I
brother from another mother.
Yes.
Right? Hang on. Jim is in. All right.
Cheeky little Jimmy, 10-7 suited. Certainly hand he can call with because he
10, 7. Oh,
unlucky
wow.
Oscar. Sorry, I apologise, Josh. Of course he is. Jerome 10, Winston 10. What a silly thing for me to say. How embarrassing.
No, that's what you were saying. Just nod and say yes. That's what I was saying. Yeah,
Harvey,
Jerome
it's
10.
been a
is
very
Winston
long
10's
day.
brother.
It is extremely late.
Oscar's going to hang himself here.
Yeah, but again, like if Jim just has a 10, maybe Oscar can find a double.
Queens again?
So, and he's in trouble. He's in big trouble here, my young fella.
He needs an 8 or running.
A 3.
Oh, close.
They called it, didn't get it, and just like that. And Pocket Queens takes you out of the tournament.
it
That's
does.
hard news, isn't it?
Yeah,
hard
for
news.
sure. Because if you'd won the pot, maybe that was enough to go further. You know, like maybe that was enough to kickstart your win. Congratulations to Oscar Fong. 22,000 for, is that right? 22?
22.
Yes, I believe. Yep, 25,000 for 5th. I imagine probably one of his biggest scores, but look, so tired, I don't know.
But you know what? 22 grand to a young kid like that,
Yeah.
it's fantastic.
Yes, of course.
He's going to go out and
I'm sure.
talk about that bad beat for ages, but just concentrate on your 22 grand, mate. You did well.
The really interesting thing about online poker and being able to play it is it really conditions you to be essentially numb to the outcome. So because you have so much repetition because of the volume of poker that's online, really just essentially it doesn't matter. Like it's whatever. It's just part of the decision. You have nothing to do with the outcome as long as your decision is correct.
Well, hopefully that's why this is a bit different.
Yeah, for
actually
sure.
being here live, playing with people, and you're going
And
to, you know, this is going to be an experience for him for sure.
That is what I was referring to about like not everyone plays like they do online. You know, like Doris from the Bowls Club certainly doesn't. You know what I mean?
She goes well, Doris from
Yes,
the Bowls Club.
we do see
apparently.
Doris on the stream quite often.
So we're into some really significant money here now. 28k
We
for
are.
4th. And Jim now really in command of this as well.
2.4 mil, Joey.
They have used the term "it's his to lose," and it probably is.
Yeah, agree. Look, all the tide seems to be going Jim's way. This is a spot where Jim could potentially start jamming any 2. He just puts all the pressure on these guys. You can imagine Jerome and Ben are probably quite in. Actually,
That'll be all of it for Ben, but
What?
Jerome gets nothing.
I thought it looked like he called, and I was like, 10 deuce, what's that? Anyway, what I was getting at there is a hand like ace-8 of clubs might be good enough for Jim to go all in on the button, you know, because he just puts all the pressure on these short stacks. So we'll see how he continues playing, but I've been pretty impressed so far. 40, plays 12, plays 9.8, plays 9.2, big blinds. So all of our players quite short. 20, 30 minutes, they'll be even shorter. So if Jim gets it over and done with, bang.
Oh, it's a nice starting hand for Ben.
Especially for Ben as one of our short stacks. Raises to all in. Oh, Harvey, I'm sorry.
Yawning on the stream.
It's contagious, I promise you.
So Ben gets that done. All of these chips, even picking up the big blinds, is really important at this stage.
Absolutely. So for every time you go all in, you just keep yourself a little bit safer longer.
Another nice looking hand for Ben.
Yeah, King Jack suited for Ben under the gun.
He gets on a mini run here, mate. He's a real danger.
Exactly. And I often say it, but Ben has not had his fair share of live variants yet.
Now, Billy might like this. Doesn't. Jim, though, does.
Yes.
So,
Harvey, just excuse me for 1 minute. I'm going to go to the bathroom and I'll be back right away.
briefly lost Liam, and it's really good news for Ben because, as I said, he gets on a mini run and he is going to pose a real danger on this table. He's all of a sudden up at 18 bigs. So Billy now. This is the worst of the aces, as Liam has explained to me many times. An ace-6, in fact, worse than an ace-5, and an ace-8 is better than an ace-6, especially when it's suited. So, decision for Ben now. He calls. It's Billy at risk. Billy at big risk. He's a major dog here. It's the 8-6 versus the ace-8. Nothing on there. And fortunately for Billy, he is out. The ace did play there, and we lose Billy in 4th spot for 28k. Well played, young fella. Done very, very well. Certainly didn't mind playing his cards, Billy. Gave us a lot of entertainment there.
Harvey, mate, I don't think we're far.
Not now.
In my waters, I don't know if I have waters, but
I don't know where your waters are, but
anyway, I feel a surge. Whatever's happening, there's some momentum developing.
Well, what happened in that very short break is that exactly what I said. Ben became dangerous. He won a couple of hands.
Yep.
All of a sudden, he's got 25 big blinds.
Yep. And now he can really start.
Well, he can play.
Yep. He's not trapped anymore. He's got some manoeuvrability. He can start making some moves. King 10 is good enough to jam against Jerome's short stack, as so many of us would, but, you know, Ben's certainly doing exactly as we should.
Jerome is the one now who needs to find a double up somewhere pretty quickly.
Absolutely. He'll be looking for one, and he won't be waiting. If it comes, it'll come, you know.
Well,
this might be the one. Maybe.
And if it's, you know, if he does go out and Ben is the one who takes him out, they're pretty much going to be even. And
neck and neck, and then we will have a battle.
We have a really good heads
for
up.
sure.
Not predicting anything, but because we don't know, but that would be pretty fitting, I reckon. Jerome now with it.
Jeez.
Jack 4.
Yeah.
calls. Jim just with a 6-2.
There's a, realising the equity of Jack 4 sometimes is a very good decision. Jack 4 not a very good hand, but sometimes your big blind's not going to raise, so you can see a cheap flop. Ah, Jim, you wily man. Bottom pair and a flush draw, enough for Jim to, looks like, put Jerome all in. Shout out to Michael Walford.
How are we both?
Mate,
I think tired might be
absolutely buggered.
might be a good description.
I'm
but
ready to
we're battling
go
through.
to bed.
We are battling through. Come on, Liam. We're nearly there.
Nah, look, you will attest to this. It is so much easier as a commentator with a partner in the booth. Like, it's a tough gig if you're just here by yourself at 3:45 or whatever time we are. I don't even know what day it is anymore.
I don't know what day it is either. So Jerome folding. We don't know what it is. 8-3.
Andriatis, 8-3-0. Just going to let it go. Good boy, Jim. Don't give him any more chips.
Give it over. Noise in the background. We apologise for that. I don't know what thought the Grand Prix was finished.
Nah, just Tony driving one of his sports cars around.
So back on the felt, three-handed as you can see. Jim, Jack 3, it's out of the way. Then with the Jack 5 suited, he won't be going anywhere. In fact, he goes all in.
Yep.
Forces Jerome to fold.
Yeah.
So picks up another round of blinds and creeps ever closer to Jim's trip lead.
For such a short stack, Ben can definitely gamble with the Jack. Jack 5, he knows it's not a good hand, but it's good enough to put Jerome all in because Jerome has the discipline. If he has a hand like 8 deuce, something like that, he's just going to fold. So Ben making the correct decision, relying on Jerome not actually having a hand. 9-5 off on the button. Ben going to let it go. Jerome, I imagine, just lets it go. Discipline from Jerome again.
In fact, he had Jim crushed, but he
can't know that, especially with only 2.5 bigs. This will be the next hand for him. So strategically, he is better off going all in blind right now because he has the chance to win the big blind ante. But if he has to, he's so short that he just really
only gets a 5-3, but he's probably
just
got to go.
He doesn't want to, but he has to.
He's thinking exactly the same thing as you just said.
It's like, why couldn't I get a hand like everyone else does? Yep. Like if
have a look on
this is exactly what I was going to say. If anyone else had the card distribution that Jim has had, they would have won. Like, he has been extremely fortunate with his card distribution, but sometimes poker is kind to you, and it is just your day. Maybe this is Jim's day. Let's see how he goes. 5-3 suited against Queens. Jerome's still got 1 in 5.
I'm backing Jim all the way.
Jim was my pick a long time ago, Harvey. Don't you steal my pick.
No, just for this hand I'm talking about. And he does take that pot. So we go to heads up, finally. And it is Jim.
A tale as old as time itself. Ben Richardson, very experienced professional. Jim, though, very experienced recreational. So let's see how we go. I reckon it's going to be over pretty quick, don't you? Sorry.
I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not
sure. Because the other day we saw a battle that we did not expect. Andrew Hawes, of course, was our victor in the mid-stakes champs. Andrew defeating one of the best we've ever had and the biggest pest, Amin Rizadi. None of the regs can work him out, but somehow Andrew Wars did. I mean, for sure, having one of the best series, I think he'd just about have locked up a... Surely he's locked up the player of the series.
He's just been so dominant.
He's just had a phenomenal start with the Goliath and then had some deep final table runs a second and, you know, as we expect from the best.
Well, this also could go a long way to that for the winner, so
absolutely,
there's a lot to play for.
He would need to have some significant points prior to this win, though.
I think Ben does.
Okay, cool.
From what
so
I
Ben's had
understand.
some runs.
I think he has. But they would be focusing, though, on the 100K first prize.
Absolutely.
And that's a lot of money, as you say, for anybody playing this game. That is a lot of money.
For sure. So I was at Crown last night, went across, played, of course, I'm a poker tragic. We had an early finish. Sorry, not an early finish, it was about 10:30.
Well, that was early for us.
Yes.
It's now nearly 4 in the morning.
It is not early for a cash game player. The games are getting good. So I was over there. Surprise, surprise. Ben was deep in the Phase 3 Aussie Millions main Saturday. He had some, It was just like a, you know, the kind of Goliath kind of feel, like that kind of level of talent. So, you know, I think the Aussie Millions is going to be some pretty spectacular poker.
You don't reckon everyone works out here? There's Tony Hashim cleaning up the joint.
You know what? I really, really, really want to give a big shout out to Tony and the team at APT. They could not have possibly looked after me better. Even to the, you know, I was talking about how difficult my day's been, and I'm not flying home till Wednesday. The last thing you want to do is being away from my family when things are tough. Hash, regardless of the, you know, just out of the kindness of his heart, offered to get me home tomorrow on a public holiday. Yeah, look, APT, I can't tell you how nice it is to be treated with respect, and you know, like, I'm just so happy.
He's a great man, and probably a little bit too generous at times.
You know, but like sometimes that's what you need when days are hard. You just need to remind that sometimes good things do happen. You just got to, you know. So look, I'm not going to take him up on it because it cost him $700.
I'm certainly not talking about your particular case. I'm talking
of
about
course,
that he's
for sure
known so
but
widely.
That is Tony for sure. If he had one shirt left, he'd make sure you had one too. Tell you.
5 million. 6,400,000.
Hey, Maddie, would you mind taking my lights down?
6,400,025.
This is okay. I wasn't sure what was going on. Jim was up to no good with Jack 8 off, but yeah, sorry. It's just super important to acknowledge, you know, when people are doing it right. It's really easy to talk about when someone does something wrong, but giving a compliment is so much harder, and I'm a huge fan of that stuff. So, hats off to Tony. I'm very happy to be here. Harvey, it's been awesome working with you, and of course, the wizard, Matty Marshall. Very much looking forward to the APT series in April. Keep an eye on the socials, Facebook, APT Live for our scheduled release in the next couple of days. Of course, Brisbane, my hometown.
Needham Hill's always fun.
Yeah, it's a great venue. You know, there's plenty of concerts, plenty of live gigs, all of that, and there's some great restaurants around there as well. But for me, it's about 40 minutes drive, so it's one of those long finish, early start. Well, actually, no, I'll stop. APT look after me with a right start as well. So, yeah, never finish late and start early with APT. They make sure you're well rested.
So an all in with the pocket fours takes that down for Jim. He goes a little further ahead, but obviously they're close enough that this could shift and change in the next few hands.
Absolutely.
I don't think Jim is a previous winner on the APT.
I was having a chat to him earlier. He's had some little trophies, but this will definitely be the shiniest one in the box, in the trophy cabinet. So, You know, he's an absolute gentleman. I love Ben. We're good mates, but it's hard not to root for Jim.
All right, this could be interesting here.
Yep. I can definitely see Ben defending this hand. Of course, King 7, not traditionally a powerful hand, but with the clubs, it makes it worth it. And the other thing is, it's only you and one other bloke, so King High is going to be quite good quite often. Ben does check, and Jim will start out with check as well. Turn is a spicy little 10. Not much going on for either player. Just King High for both, but Jim with the best King High. King
What
Queen.
about a king on the river?
Don't do that to him. You know how tired Harvey is? He's calling cards again.
I just thought that would be a very interesting
Absolutely,
card.
for sure. Look, you know what have I told you about it? The Martin Ward story where I said, what card sends Martin home?
Yes.
That is the commentator's curse.
Yes.
Martin.
Especially when it was one card in the deck.
Yes. Martin Ward had Jack 4 on Jack 4-10 or something like that, and the other player had pocket jacks. And I said, what card sends Martin home? The offsuit Jack, and the offsuit 4, and it came. So, the commentator's curse, it is real.
We're one cooler hand away from this finishing.
Yes. The chips are short enough that we can definitely see them go in. 25 bigs is an easy SBR for Ben to get in. He's a talented guy. He knows exactly what he needs to do. But good luck getting through Jim. He keeps picking up playable hands, so no shot. Ben's going to have to get very creative to get Jim off the pot. He's very sticky, or as I would say, covered in honey.
So the 9 hits for Jim and the flush draw for Ben.
Ben with just the 3 of spades. Jim not going too far away with the middle pair. He knows that Ben will bet most spades, so middle pair is good enough. Now improves to 2 pair. No scare card for Jim yet. Although heads up, Ben can have tons of 4s as well, so it's just, yeah, heads up is a different beast. What is Jim? Oh, look at this. Cheeky little...
Let's extract a little bit more out of him.
Absolutely. We saw him do this the other day. He would bet the flop, check the turn, bet the river, and people just lost their minds. It's an interesting strategy because it tells them that they're priced in, but then they're priced in for the bigger bet on the river as well. So,
well, he's got to bet 300k to get into a 2.3 pot. He's got to call, doesn't he? Really?
Yeah.
And, and
Jim's not going to show up with worse kings. You know, he's not going to show up with a worse hand all that often. But I understand. Just in case, you still get that good price.
That was almost I'm going to piss you off sort of river bet, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. This could have been enough for...
So, Jim's still
hanging in.
Well, he's now more than double. So, again, Ben's going to have to find something.
Like so many others before him, I do have a feeling that Jim's been doing some coaching with none other than our Canadian friend, Mr. Mike Maddox, of Maddox Mindset. Plenty of the best in the country products of Maddox Mindset.
So, 9s for Jim. He's raised and Ben will call with the King 7. With the flop. Oh, no.
All right.
This is going to be it.
Welcome.
This is going to be it.
Yep. Horrific. Poor Ben.
And how good for Jim. He's honestly, the whole fireworks, the whole chorus of the orchestra is going off in his head here. He's just hoping that Ben's holding a king or an ace, and he is. There's a call.
Did you
Oh,
call
well,
that?
That's the end of it.
Is that how that happened? Did you call that card? Turn is now a 7.
I did not say that. Maybe I was thinking it.
Ben Richardson,
But that's
unfortunately
just the
for him,
worst
now
card, isn't
turns
it?
to pair.
Worst card that
Which
could have
will,
come
of
out.
course, mean
This is
that
over.
Jim does need to call off the all-in. Ben is
So-
drawing to two
Two
kings.
kings in the deck.
Just 2 outs for Ben. Can he get there? Or otherwise, we will be seeing our main event champion, Jim Andriatis, for $100,000.
Thinking a million years I was behind there.
Is it coming? Is a king
Why
coming
is this
out?
dealer so slow?
It is not. Congratulations.
Absolutely. Ladies
Jim.
and gentlemen, Jim Andriatis, our main event, 350k guarantee, absolutely demolished. But how cool for all of us to see Jim get his first trophy. He's been plugging away for a long time. Always beautiful to see. Guys, thanks so much for this series. It has been an absolute treat to look after you. I look forward to it in the future. Of course, my name is Liam Murray. You will see me here with Harvey Silver for the foreseeable future.
It's been a pleasure, mate. Lovely to spend
Mate,
some time
always
with you
great
here and
to have a chat and, learn some things about the production behind this. It's always a big deal, but the insight you have is always great as well. So, what time is it? Like 4?
it's 4 and it's 4 and 4 and out. But
You know
thanks,
what?
mate, again. It's time
It's
to
been
say
such
goodbye.
a big day. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in April. Harvey and I will be there. Watch out for the schedule in the next couple of days.
See you
Later.
then.